High school football on your home for news, talk, and sports in the White Mountains. iTALK 106.7 FM. Sholo Ford, Drive One.
Quick look, and he's got it at the 39 to the 40. Crosses midfield. One man to beat. He's around him at the 30 to the 20-10. Touchdown.
Also brought to you in part by Mountain Comfort Heating and Cooling, Lacey Weeks with Supreme Lending, Mountain Mobile Auto Glass, Ace Hardware of the White Mountains, Williams Brothers Auto Service, Sunrise Park Resort, Indian Pine Restaurant and Honda Outdoor Ski and Sports Store, Summit Healthcare, C&H Plumbing, Pro Build, K-Supply, Octopus Car Wash, and Sholo Ford, Drive One.
Down the middle pass to Nicholas. Caught! Are you kidding me?
And now, Sholo Ford's presentation of high school football on iTALK 106.7 and worldwide on iTalk1067.com.
Well, a wonderful good evening to you in our debut season opener game here live from Williamsfield High School. Camden Smith, Mike Side with Punt Cooley as we get set for high school football action. A cross-division rivalry starting here between these two teams. The Williamsfield Blackhawks hosting the Cougars of Sholo High School. And we've got, we're going to honor America in the singing of our national anthem, so we're going to test Mickey right away and step away for a quick timeout. We'll be back with our pregame announcements and our opening kick when we return. This is Sholo Ford's presentation of high school football on iTalk 106.7 and worldwide on iTalk1067.com.
Certain please rise and remove your hats. The presentation of the colors by Williamsfield High School. Colors are United States Air Force ROTC cadets. Stand for the playing of our national anthem. Please remain standing until after the playing of the national anthem and the colors have left the field. The national anthem will be sung by what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets echoed, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Welcome back to Williams High School. The Blackhawks hosting the Sholo Cougars here tonight as we get set for Division 4 and Division 3 action. Interesting game tonight is the matchup here, Punt. We look at these two teams, and both of these teams are tops in their divisions. The Sholo Cougars coming into this season ranked number 1, expected to be the state champions at the end of the season. The Blackhawks ranked number 3 in Division 3, so a division ahead of the Sholo Cougars. And the Blackhawks are for real. As we look at their roster, a lot of kids coming back from last year's team that was very successful.
Right, not only a lot of returning players from last year, Camden, but a very lengthy roster at that. 72 players total on this roster for Williamsfield High School. And as you say, they're coming in Williamsfield as the number 3 ranked preseason in Division 3. Queen Creek, right not too far away, the number 2 ranked, which Sholo plays later this season. But yes, definitely both of these teams teams last year opened up our season with the first game, I believe, for the broadcast season, and a pretty well played game by Sholo up in the Dome in Springerville.
Just in sheer numbers, you take a look at the Blackhawks sideline, and they've got 72 kids suited out for this game tonight. They look like a big team, not only in numbers, but also in size.
Definitely a good-sized club. Although, you know, Sholo, one thing it has going for it this year, as we talked with Coach Reisdorf, is they have a pretty hefty-sized line, in particular, do the Cougars coming back this year for Sholo. So it'll be interesting. I think that may end up being one of the keys of the game. You know, something to look at is the line play in tonight's contest.
Sholo Cougars with some experience coming back on their own as we take a look at some of the key players tonight. Quentin Clark is one of those. Receptions of 19 last season for 319 yards and 6 touchdowns. He'll be suited up tonight for the Sholo Cougars. We expect him to have a good night. He also was one of the tops in the underclassmen in terms of defensively, averaging 5 tackles per game. So we'll expect Quentin Clark to be a big contributor here tonight to the Sholo Cougars. Our keys to the game and key players of the game are brought to you by the Ace Hardware tonight. Don't forget, best place to get your keys made is at the Ace Hardware, and also they now have a 24/7 traveling locksmith. If you're locked out of your car, need a key made for your home, they'll do it for you. It is at the Ace Hardware of the White Mountains in Heber, Sholo, and in Overgard. Also tonight, Caleb Farr returning for the Cougars. He was had limited action at quarterback, passed 16 of 26 for 154 yards in passing last season, completing 62% of his passes. Certainly has the mechanics to be a great quarterback for the Cougars this year.
Absolutely backed up Maxwell last year, a very athletic kid. You know, a little nervous before the game today, but the other thing is, Camden, is he admitted the nerves. So, you know, I think it's definitely going to be a real quick test for him playing against this Division III team, but he will certainly be a key for the Cougars tonight.
He suffered an injury during the track season. We'll have more on that with Brandon Todd in just a moment. But the other guy that will be interesting to watch tonight is Jerem Fawcett, who was an standout receiver for the Cougars last season. 15 receptions, 264 yards, and 5 touchdowns. He also averaged 5 tackles per game defensively. He'll be the fullback tonight for the Sholo Cougars. Jason Brown, a guy that we really like. He was a freshman last season. He rushed 30 times for 199 yards and a touchdown. He had 33 yards per game, an average of 7 yards per carry. We expect big things out of him this season. Jamie Webb will get the start tonight for the Cougars. Logan Barton at center. The guards are Angel Moreno and Terrence Bridges. Tackles are Daniel Lusk and Jamie Webb, as we mentioned. Also another one to look for tonight will be Stephen Curry, who had 15 catches last year for 213 yards and a touchdown. We're set to go. Garrett Means and Quentin Clark stand back at the Sholo Cougar 8-yard line, set to receive the kick. And a predicted all-state kicker on this Blackhawks team, set to kick it away, Brandon Ruiz. Brandon Ruiz puts boot into it, and a high end-over-ender. Means will field it at the 11, to the 15, 20, angles to the sideline at the 25. He'll be knocked down there. Alex Orton on the tackle for the Blackhawks.
Well, not a bad kickoff return for the Cougars at about the 23, 24-yard line, so not a bad starting field position for them tonight on their first possession.
Sun setting on the horizon and temperature starting to drop just a little bit. It was a little bit hot here early on today, but it's going to turn out to be a pretty pleasant night tonight for football here in the Valley. First snap from the gun. Hand to Fawcett, straight ahead, nothing there, a loss of 1. Back at the 24. Actually, no, it is Fawcett. Fawcett carries to the line of scrimmage at the 25.
Well, outstanding line penetration by the Blackhawks on that defensive front. Maybe a blitzing linebacker in there as well to stop that rush early.
Here's a snap to Farr, hand to Fawcett again, and he's stacked up in the backfield, will be knocked down for a loss, and the Show Low Cougars struggling to get their offense going. A loss of one. It brings up 3rd down and 11. Blake Elliott on the tackle for the Blackhawks.
And again, that defensive line surge, definitely the key there to stop that Show Low run game in its tracks early.
2 receivers right, single receiver to the left side, tight end on the right side. And here comes the snap to Farr, rolling right, throws, caught, and hammered at the 28-yard line, knocked out of bounds after a 5-yard reception. Fawcett hangs on to the football and picks up 5 yards and brings up a 4th down and 6.
Well, it leaves them short on that gain, but that was an outstanding catch by Fawcett, not only to having to adjust to that tip ball, but as soon as it hit his hands, he got hit by 2 defenders and still able to hang on.
Farr in the gun, not showing punt. Cougars last season went for it several times on 4th down. They set a man in motion. That's Means across the formation. Fawcett with a quick kick. Nobody back for the Blackhawks. Someone trying to get back, bounces near the 30 and rolls down inside the 25. Will be grounded there at the 24-yard line. Let's go downstairs and check in with our sideline reporter, Brandon Todd. Brandon?
Hey, thanks, Camden. Yeah, to touch on what you were talking about earlier with Farr, he decided to skip the baseball season and do track, and it turned out to be I wouldn't say a poor choice, but an unfortunate choice where he was involved in a very freak accident where he was hit with the discus in the face, and right on the right side of his face, and I think it broke his nose. He had to get up to, I believe, somewhere close to 90 stitches. I talked to him before the game. He said he feels good. It looks a lot better than it did, obviously. And but the coaching staff and his father are going to be watching him closely tonight. Camden?
All right, thanks a lot, Brandon. As the Blackhawks take over their first possession at the 24-yard line. Quick pass here on the near side, caught at the 30-yard line. Reception made by Jake Gilbert, and Gilbert gets it out across the 34 for a first down. Lacey Weeks at Supreme Lending. First down to start things off for the Blackhawks here tonight.
And Damian Sharp for the Cougars in on the tackle, the cornerback on that right side.
Wide receiver far to the right side, single receiver here to the near side, slot left and a single back in the backfield as the quarterback for the Blackhawks sets a man in motion. They'll hand to him. He sweeps right, slips through the hole, gets to the 40, out to the 45. Fabian Cruz picks up another first down, this time a Mountain Comfort Heating and Cooling. First down for the Blackhawks near midfield. He'll be brought down. They mark him at the 47.
Well, as you say, that motion man, Fabian Ortiz, very explosive getting through that line of scrimmage and breaks tackles right at the line of scrimmage, and just a quick run for a quick blast here and the second first down on as many plays for these Blackhawks. Off to a good start.
Single back in the backfield, wide receiver right and left here, and a penalty marker thrown and a procedure call against the Blackhawks as a near side line judge will call the 5-yard penalty against the Blackhawks. And they mark off 5, and it's marked back to the 43. Call it the 42. Blackhawk 42-yard line, first down and 15 coming up. Weston Murphy, the quarterback tonight for Williamsfield. Couple of junior quarterbacks last season back returning for the Blackhawks, and Murphy's one of those. So far, he's got the nod tonight. So they send a wide receiver left, wide receiver to the right. Man in motion, back behind the formation is Ortiz. And they go option right and a keeper around the right end as Murphy's going to be snowed under after very little gain there as Quentin Clark, who led the team for underclassmen in tackles last season for the Show Low Cougars. Clark with 5 tackles per game. I shouldn't say led the team. Starvos Castillo had 7 per game last season, but Quentin Clark in the top 2 or 3 of defenders for the Show Low Cougars as far as underclassmen are concerned.
Well, great defensive action by Quentin Clark, as you say. Garrett Means on that left side corner also in on the tackle to shut down that sweep attempt by Williamsfield.
And a keeper around the right side, and Murphy's going to take a knee as he slides in at the midfield stripe. Murphy, an awkward slide there, will be marked down at the 49-yard line. Willie Wyatt was the first man to him. And the Blackhawk crowd a bit silenced after a couple of successful defensive plays here for the Cougars. A third down now and 8 to go for Williamsfield.
Well, Sholo starting out in that 3-4 defense we typically see them in, and a lot of action early for these Sholo Cougar linebackers in terms of getting engaged in plays early.
Rhett Layton here wide to the near side of the set, single man in the backfield with Murphy, and that's Bushman, hand to Bushman. He has a first down, crosses midfield into Cougar territory. He'll be knocked down at the 42-yard line.
And again, you know, at the line of scrimmage, that three-man front for Sholo having a hard time filling gaps, and Bushman with those quick feet, explosive runner, able to break through the line of scrimmage, get past the linebackers, forcing those Cougar safeties to make the tackle, but not after gaining that first down.
Sun finally setting on the horizon. Chance to take off the sunglasses here tonight. As we get two receivers left for the Blackhawks, a fresh set of downs, a Lacey Weeks at Supreme Lending. First down for the Blackhawks, and a quick pass to Ortiz near side. Quentin Clark wraps him up. Little help there for the Sholo Cougars by Jamie Webb as the Blackhawk receiver gets out to the 39-yard line after a short gain on first down.
Outstanding defensive effort that time by the Cougars on that flare pass out of the backfield. Quick response by Quentin Clark, as you said. He's been very busy so far in this game. You know, we talked about his athleticism, Quentin Clark, and so far early in this game showing big time what he can do for this Cougar team.
Two receivers right, two to the left. Single man in the backfield. As Murphy goes under center, hand to Bushman, big move at the line of scrimmage, has a big hole up the middle, crosses the 30, knocked down inside the 25, knocked down at the 23-yard line. They'll have a knee down back at the 23, and a Mountain Comfort Heating and Cooling first down for the Williamsfield Blackhawks.
Well, the 5'9" senior Braden Bushman for the Williamsfield Blackhawks, 190-pounder, really quick, explosive, getting through those holes, as we said earlier. And it looked to me like Camden, he tripped on one of his blockers. Had he not done that, he may have had a chance at the end zone.
6.5 minutes left here in the first quarter, no score. First possession of the game for the Blackhawks. Cougars with their backs against the wall now. From the Cougar 23, a fresh set of downs for Williamsfield. Hand to Bushman. Bushman off tackle right side. Bangs his way inside the 20. And they'll mark him down at the 20-yard line. Jason Brown on the tackle, the sophomore for the Sholo Cougars, who averaged 5 tackles per game last season. Knocks him down at the 20.
And a big sophomore at that, 6'1", 230 pounds, Jason Brown, doing outstanding work on that outside linebacker position, coming in and filling that inside gap to get the tackle.
Wide receiver for Williamsfield to the far side is Kenny Owens, looking to pass. This time is Murphy. Looks right, fires left, caught at the 11, inbounds. The reception made, I believe, by Rhett Layton on the reception for the Blackhawks. Rhett Layton, a 6 foot, 170-pound senior for Williamsfield, picks up a Lacey Weeks at Supreme Lending, first down. And the Blackhawks threatening here against the Cougars. Cougars looking for answers defensively here tonight. Rhett Layton wide to the right this time. They send Kenny Owens wide to the near side of the set. Murphy under center, take the snap, handed first man through on the left side. He's got a wall of white jerseys there. Willie Wyatt, the first one to hit him. Fawcett in on the tackle as well. And they knocked the helmet off this time of Shane Fine.
Well, Williamsfield trying a misdirection counter on that play, but as you say, Willie Wyatt quickly up the gap and meets the runner in the backfield. So a good stand here by Sholo defensively.
Owens wide right. Layton comes wide near side, slot left side. Murphy under center on second down and 14 after the loss. And they go up the middle, and it's caught. Touchdown! Aaron Mason scores it for Williamsfield.
And again, a draw play looking type play where they counter back up the middle of the line of scrimmage, and Aaron Mason breaking a ankle tackle at the line of scrimmage and just able to explode through, get past the safeties of the Cougars to score the first touchdown of the game. 15-yard touchdown run by Aaron Mason, the junior, for Williamsfield.
On to try the point after try. The kick is up, and it is good. And with 4 minutes and 39 seconds left to play here in the first quarter, Williamsfield strikes first blood here tonight and leads it 7-0. We'll step away. This is Sholo Ford's presentation of high school football on iTALK 106.7 and worldwide on iTalk1067.com. Back to Williamsfield High School. 7-0 is our score with 4 minutes 39 seconds left to play. Cougars kickoff to them, goes through the end zone, and Quentin Clark was the man back to receive it. They hand here to Willie Wyatt, and nothing going as the Blackhawks have completely stuffed the Sholo Cougar offense so far this evening. First possession was a 4-and-out for Sholo. Or 3-and-out, I should say, and this one starts off with a loss of 2. So 2nd and 12 coming up here for the Cougars. Looking to throw, Farr has a man. It's Fawcett at the 20, out to the 25, and Jerem Fawcett, successful on the reception, has a gain of 7 and puts the Cougars in striking distance with a 3rd down and 5 coming up. Clark wide near side, 2 receivers to the left. Slot lines up on the left side, far from the gun. Takes the snap, fires, caught by Wyatt. Wyatt has a first down as he catches it at the 26 and rolls over the 30-yard line with the catch and run. Good for a Mountain Comfort Heating and Cooling first down.
Well, the Cougars struggling with the running game largely because the line is getting kind of chopped to pieces by that defensive front by Williamsfield, but you got to credit Farr. He's doing a great job so far finding the open receivers and putting the ball right on the money. Doing a great job with that passing game so far for the Cougars.
Clark wide left, single receiver, 2 receivers rather here to the right. Farr throws deep left towards Quentin Clark, caught at the 41 on a great catch for the Quentin Clark. The Sholo Cougar Jr., 6'3", 180-pounder, makes a terrific catch down the far sideline for a Mountain Comfort Heating and Cooling first down.
And he beats cornerback Quinn Gardner, 17 for Williamsfield, who is complaining to the referee. I think he feels like he may have been pushed off by Clark. Nevertheless, a great catch by Quentin Clark, going up tall to get that reception.
27-yard catch for Clark, and to Willie Wyatt now on first down, and the running game opening up a little bit as he goes off tackle left side, crossing the 39-yard line, which is the line of scrimmage, and picks up 3 yards on first down, brings up 2nd and 7 for the Cougars. 2 receivers near side, single receiver to the far side, and Farr in the gun with a single back in the backfield. Low snap, picks it up off the turf, almost picked off, caught by Means. Means spins at the 30, at the 25, he'll be horse-collared down at the 21. Garrett Means picks up a Mountain Comfort Heating and Cooling first down for the Sholo Cougars.
And a great play by Sholo to get that first down, as you say, Camden. But I got to tell you, Austin Holmes, that cornerback for Williamsfield, tried to go for the pick, but the pass high enough over him to get the reception.
And a fade route towards the corner this time from far, intended for Clark, and Clark overthrown on that one. Had a half a step on his defender, but you can tell right away that the Show Low Cougars are going to change things up and go to the air in this matchup. Quentin Clark, wide right, slot left, 2 receivers left, far in the gun. Single back in the backfield is Wyatt. They hand to him. He goes straight ahead, hitting the backfield, falls forward to the line of scrimmage at the 20. And they'll give him a half a yard. 3rd down and 9 coming up.
You know, we talked about the line play, and again, Williamsfield doing a good job again, stuffing those gaps inside. And I got to tell you, one of the reasons why they're having success there, just looking at the size of these kids out here, number 35, Caden Dickey for Williamsfield, a senior, 6'2", 275. Big, thick kid doing an outstanding job of just battling tough up front and causing a lot of fits right now for that Show Low offense in terms of their ability to open up holes between the tackles for their running game.
Timeout on the field. We'll keep it here with 2:29 left to play. And Williamsfield obviously wanting to stop this attack right now, looking to make some adjustments to get the Cougars out of their game plan, but an impressive drive so far here for the Cougars punt. You got to like what you see if you're a Show Low coaching staff member and you look at these little short patterns, little short passes, picking up yardage with the passing game. It's been several opportunities with open receivers. Not only that, but they're catching the football.
Absolutely, and especially, you know, responding after Williamsfield scores to come back like this has got to be a good boost for this Cougar team.
2 minutes, 29 seconds. Here's the snap, and it's a reverse to Clark. Clark looking to turn the corner, dips in. Now it goes to the outside. He'll be knocked out of bounds near the 15-yard line, and he'll get just inside the 15. They're going to mark him at the 14. Quentin Clark picking up some critical yardage here on 3rd down, but a 4th down coming up.
He walks off the field and lays on the track. Camden does. Quentin Clark maybe got the wind knocked out of him or something. Regardless, on that run, does a great job of breaking a tackle. Williamsfield able to get contained on that reverse, but Clark, credit him, breaks through that tackle and gets a good gain.
Cougars going for it on 4th down. 4 receivers to the right. Fawcett in motion going right to left towards the line of scrimmage. Has a crackback block, and he opens up a passing lane for Far. Incomplete on the pass attempt to Jace Brewer near the goal line.
And again, you know, I think you got to credit Far. He found a receiver that looked to be open. Just a great defensive play by that corner out in that in the corner of the end zone, laying out, and looked like he may have tipped that ball. Otherwise, looked to be a pretty precise pass by Far.
And so the Cougars are going to be short, and they will turn the ball over, but Williamsfield in a bit of a hole now. See if the Cougar defense can respond as they set the Williamsfield Blackhawks up with a 1st down at the 14-yard line. Their own 14. They'll set a man in motion and a procedure call here called against the Blackhawks.
Yeah, the motion was good by the slot back. I think they're going to call it against the quarterback. You could see him kind of lunge up on the snap count, and the combination of him doing that while the back's in motion, I'm guessing, is what they're going to call the penalty on here for motion.
And it's not very often that you see the quarterback missing the snap count.
Well, I'm just wondering if maybe, you know, he was trying to do a hard count, and in the process, just a little too much body action on that.
Too hard. 15 yards to go for a first now as they mark off 5 yards on the procedure call. Ball spotted at the 9. The Blackhawks set Page in motion. The slot on the left side, handed to Bushman. Bushman off tackle, left side. He fights his way forward across the 10, out to the 14-yard line. Willie Wyatt on the stop for the Show Low Cougars. A decent gain that time.
Again, good defensive play by these Show Low linebackers. You know, with that 3-man front, it's tough to fill all the gaps clearly up front, but these Sholo linebackers responding well and getting to the tackles and holding Williamsfield from getting big gains.
Minute 40 left to play here in the first quarter. Blackhawks with receivers left and right. And under center is Murphy. Handed second man through. That's Bushman on the right side. Flag thrown behind him. Bushman hit at the line of scrimmage. Dragged some tacklers with him out to the 20-yard line.
Looks like
this
a penalty.
One's coming back.
Yeah, it looks like a penalty against the Blackhawks. I'm not sure what the call is here, but it went quickly. The flag flew quickly right after the snap. Logan Barton, the middle linebacker, comes up to make the tackle. Looks like holding against Williamsfield, so I'll push him back even further now, back around their 5, maybe 6.
Hold call is assessed from the spot. Page, wide receiver near side, along with Layton. Murphy in the gun. Here's the snap, steps into his end zone, looking to pass, skips past the defender, fires deep down the middle of the field, up in the air, caught by Flag. Oh, brother, what a catch. And that's Owens on the reception for the Blackhawks at midfield. He comes down at the 48-yard, call it the 47-yard line, and picks up a Lacey Weeks at Supreme Lending, first down for the Blackhawks.
Well, Garrett Means, the cornerback for the Cougars, was right there in the front pocket of the receiver, just not able to get high enough, just literally out-jumped for the ball. So a great pass, good reception, but you can't really fault the defense by Means. He just got out-jumped for the ball.
Final minute of this quarter. 7-0 Blackhawks, and they get a fresh set of downs in Cougar territory now. Handed off to Page. Page slips the tackle. 35, upended at the 31 by Means, but not before he picks up a Mountain Comfort Heating and Cooling first down for the Blackhawks.
Well, Josh Page making some outstanding cuts in open field. Looked like he could break it, but Garrett Means, got to credit him. Outstanding open field tackle, shooting low through the ankles, through the legs of Page, and able to bring him down, but as you said, not after another first down by these Blackhawks.
Layton comes wide to the near side. 42 seconds left in the quarter. Fresh set of downs now for the Blackhawks at their 30, or rather at the Cougar 31. Here's the snap. Handed off on an inside handoff to Page. Page picking his way through traffic, gets into the secondary, and will be knocked down close to another Lacey Weeks at Supreme Lending, first down. Aaron Mason, I believe, on the tackle for the Cougars. Oh, excuse me. Check that for you in a moment. 9 seconds as the quarter about to come to a close here. Owens wide right. Layton comes near side. And they're going to let the quarter expire. We'll step away. It's 7-0 Blackhawks. When we return, they've got a 2nd and 2 in Cougar territory.
Kick. It's a low line drive kick. He's up across the 20. He's got the 25 hammered down at the 30.
Are you a sports fan and business owner? You don't want to pass this up. White Mountain Youth Productions brings you local high school sports produced by high school students.
Go deep and it's caught. Unbelievable.
Your tax-deductible sponsorship keeps us up and running and gets you noticed.
He'll gallop into the end zone.
Call 928-532-4160.
And that is a touchdown for Sholo.
Pretty much a good day for me would be people leaving their hands off of me. I'm always called names. Everywhere that I go, there's always someone calling me names, calling me gay. I've been choked, thrown up against the wall, punched. Nobody's ever tried to help me.
Welcome back to Williamsfield High School. 7-0. Blackhawks with a lead and the football in Cougar territory. Scoring update for you from Sarita High School, the Yellow Jackets in their season opener. Sarita missing on a 20-yard field goal 4:39 left to play in the first. And it's no score in Sarita. Murphy under center on 2nd and 2. Hand to Bushman. Hit at the line of scrimmage. He fights his way forward to the 20. They'll mark him down at the 21. And it'll be very close to a Lacey Weeks at Supreme Lending first down. Daniel Lusk on the tackle for the Cougars. Let's go downstairs and check in with Brandon Todd. Brandon?
Yeah, hey, thanks, Kim. Just an update on Quentin Clark. You mentioned after their last offensive possession, he was laying on the turf over here. He was complaining of blurriness in his right eye. He said it didn't happen on that one play. It happened 4 plays earlier. He was just laying on the ground. He said he was tired. That's why he's laying on the ground. So it's a little bit worse looking than it actually was. But obviously he's back in the game now, so that eye must have cleared up. Camden?
Thanks, Brandon. That's a bit scary when you start talking about those types of things. And concussions, obviously a big concern in high school football these days, in all sports really. Hand to Kenny Owen, sweeping left. He gets around a defender, and he'll be knocked out of bounds as the Cougars defend it well on the far side. Damian Sharp finally knocking him out of bounds for a loss on the play. Back to the 22-yard line.
Well, and you've got to credit Willie Wyatt, that outside linebacker, doing an outstanding job of staying home on that reverse and coming up quickly and stretching the field and making that runner keep running out wide to allow Sharp to push him out of bounds. But just exceptional outside linebacker play by Willie Wyatt that time for the Cougars.
11:22 left to play, second quarter, 7-0. Blackhawks with the lead, 2nd down and 12 from the 22. Murphy, hand it to Bushman. Bushman up the middle. Willie Wyatt hangs on as he drives forward across the 20 to the 19, a gain of 3, but it'll bring up a critical 3rd down and long here for the Blackhawks.
As you say, Willie Wyatt coming in again from that outside linebacker, combined with Logan Barton, one of the down linemen for the Cougars. But again, that Williams Field line surge right up the middle of the field, able to allowing that running back to get some space and move the ball.
You know, the Cougars have been punched in the mouth here, trailing 7-0, but this is a big 3rd down play here. A big momentum shift can occur if they can get a stop. 3rd down and 9 from the 19. Murphy looking to throw, goes far side, and it's incomplete. Penalty marker, no. Yes, penalty marker at the line of scrimmage. And a hold call will probably be declined here as the Blackhawks will now face a 4th down and bring on their kicker to try a field goal, I'm assuming, but we'll check it out here in a moment.
Well, as they discuss what it looks like, they will take the yardage and take the penalty, but Damian Sharp down in that corner of the end zone doing an outstanding job for the Cougars at that corner spot, going up strong. Ball, as you said, thrown a little high where really no one could get to it, but still outstanding coverage by Damian Sharp that time on that corner position by the Cougars.
So the Cougars, instead of electing to go to 4th down, they concede the down. It'll be 3rd down and 20 from, or call it 3rd down and 19 from the 30. Murphy looking to throw, looks down the middle, now looks right side, and a slant pattern.
Yes.
Oh, it's picked up at the 2.5-yard line. Oh, they say incomplete. Incomplete pass. Brandon Todd was right on it. Brandon?
Yeah, it's a great call by the ref. The ball was tipped up, and the safety just barely he dove after it, but unfortunately the ball fell between his arms and bounced off. He did a good job trying to roll over on and hide it, though, didn't he?
It was a good acting job. And brings up 4th down now, and decision-making time for the Blackhawks. They're asking, where's the kicker?
They're going to do a fancy play here, some sort of. Oh, okay. I thought maybe they were going to do some kind of trickeration.
No, they needed the holder out there. Leighton, the holder, finally comes on, and their potential All-State kicker comes on to try a 40. Let's see, spot was at the
35.
7, so 47-yard field goal.
With room.
Yeah, he punched that through easily, and you could see why they're touting him as a top talent. We'll step away. Blackhawks tack on 3. It's 10-0 Williams Field. as the Show Low Cougars are continuing to look for answers here in the first half. This is Show Low Ford's presentation of high school football on iTALK 106.7 and worldwide on iTalk1067.com.
I've got a job to do today.
I've got a job to do today.
Have a good first day at work, Mom.
Your donations to Goodwill fund job training programs right in your community.
Feels good to start fresh, right?
Sure does. And like that, you're a job creator.
And you're hot. Welcome back to Williamsfield High School. 10:21 left to play here in this first half. And a deep kick back into the end zone as Quentin Clark will catch it for the Cougars, but nowhere to go as he's 2.5 yards deep in his own end zone, and it'll be an 80-yard field for the Show Low Cougars. Trailing 10-0, but I think there's a moral victory in that last defensive stand that time to keep the Blackhawks out of the end zone.
Absolutely. And with their last possession, the Cougars were able to mount a pretty good drive, so we'll see what they can do here. Certainly in a position not where they must score on this drive. Lots of time left in the game, but they're going to have to show some offensive response here just to keep things in balance, I think, in their own mind. So we'll see what FAR can do with the team here.
Blake Ruiz tacking on that 47-yard touchdown, and a pass to Quentin Clark down the far side. And the Show Low Cougars get a big play on first down that puts them in Williamsfield territory at the 44-yard line. 37 yards from FAR to Clark, and the Show Low Cougars with the Lacey Weeks at Supreme Lending first down.
And Clark just doing an outstanding job basically burning that corner, Josh Page, on the edge there to get that long pass, that long route open.
And to Fawcett. Fawcett banging his way through traffic, gets to the 40-yard line as the Cougars showing some offensive moxie here, maybe a little more spring in their step after that defensive stand. Turned into points for the Blackhawks, but not as bad as it could have been. And this young Show Low Cougar team will have to decide how they're going to respond to this punch in the face from the Blackhawks. 9.5 remaining. Second quarter. FAR in the gun. Takes the snap. It's low. Picks it up off the turf. Looks left. In trouble. Flushed right. He's going to be tacked back at midfield. FAR goes down at the 50.
Well, the linebacker Garrett Rode for the Williamsfield Blackhawks just shoots the gap once he sees FAR leave that pocket and able to chase him down for a big loss here against the Cougars. Brings them back to their side of the field at the 49. So 3rd and 19, 20 maybe for the Cougars here.
From the 49, a 3rd down and 17 to go. FAR looking to throw, has a man, it's caught by Wyatt. Lost the handle on the football, and they say it's incomplete at the Cougar 49. It would have been a gain of 2 had he hung on, but an incomplete pass and a 4th down and decision-making time for Show Low with 8:42 left to play in the second quarter, trailing 10-0.
Well, a tough pass to catch for Wyatt. He was hit as soon as his hands touched that ball. Good defensive play for the Blackhawks.
Means comes wide to the near side of the set. He's in motion back behind the formation. FAR takes the snap, and it'll be a punt as FAR bounces it at the 10. It'll roll into the end zone, goes a yard deep. The Cougars can't get down to cover it. Excellent effort that time by Corey, who was down the right side. Stephen Curry, the senior, 6'3", 175-pounder, running down that near side, tried to get it before it goes into the end zone, but an excellent punt inside the 20. Just a little too much on it.
Well, in that sack on FAR, Camden, kind of a drive killer for the Cougars. They had a little bit of a roll going there offensively, but you got to credit that Williams Field defense for responding in a big way and just shutting down the momentum for the Cougars on that drive.
Blackhawks are going to send a wide receiver to the far side of the set. That's Layton. High tandem in the backfield, set behind Murphy. They've scored on their last two possessions, their first two possessions. And we get a delay of game called here. So all sorts of problems for the Blackhawks here in execution. That's their 5th penalty of the night. And one thing for the Cougars so far tonight, executing much better in terms of penalties. Yet to have any. Hand to Bushman. Bushman hit at the line of scrimmage, and he fights his way forward out across the 15. It'll be Jason Brown who hangs on to the shoestring to tackle him at the 14. Call it the 19.
Yeah, and you talked about the penalties, Camden. Coach Steve Campbell for the Blackhawks looking at his coaches and kind of scratching his head, wanting to know, what's going on with these guys. Obviously not pleased that they run up that many penalties early in the game here.
Murphy to throw on second down, has his man caught by Owens. He slants back inside at the 30. Means and Fawcett combine on the tackle at the 31.
Well, a well-executed timing route on that sideline. Kenny Owens doing a great job pulling it in and actually fighting for a few extra yards to get that first down.
And a Mountain Comfort Heating and Cooling first down for the Blackhawks. 7:45 left to play first quarter. Don't forget to stick around to our Sunrise Park Resort halftime show brought to you by the Sunrise Park Resort. Two receivers left, slot left. Murphy in the gun, single back flanking him to his left, fires left side, and it is incomplete, intended for Page. Or is that Mason? Aaron Mason, the intended receiver on the far side. Incomplete to him with 7:27 left to play in the second. Blackhawks lead 10-0. Cougars had a big stand defensively in their last outing. We'll see what they can do here. Already giving up one first down. Chance to pin the Blackhawks back in their own territory and get some good field position out of this if they can stick them here on 2nd and 10. They send Layton wide to the near side of the set. Ball at the 31, 2nd and 10. Set a man in motion towards the formation. Give it to Bushman. Bushman driving his feet forward, still on his feet at the 39. Still on his feet, and they'll finally blow it dead as they can't get him to go to the ground. Jamie Webb and Fawcett, the first Cougars there to meet him. But he gets a big run on first down out to the 39-yard line. So the Williams Field 39, 3rd and 1 coming up.
Well, Bushman, very impressive again. Just a high energy runner. Keeps those feet moving. He's quick to the hole, and really making those Sholo Cougars work whenever they make contact with them. Doing an outstanding job so far, just getting yards where he can for these Blackhawks.
Yard to gain is the 41. It's 3rd and 2 as they send Layton wide left again. Man in motion back behind the set. Hand to him, it's Bushman. Cuts it upfield to the 40. He has a first down and more. Fawcett tackles him near the 45. He'll fall forward to the 47. And a Mountain Comfort Heating and Cooling first down for Williams Field.
Well, one thing that's maybe a little bit of concern for these Sholo Cougars, their defense has been on the field a lot so far in this first half. And unlike the Blackhawks, a lot of these Cougars also play offense. So it's got to be a little bit more tiring probably for them, in the final tally, as it would be for a lot of these Blackhawk players that don't necessarily go both ways.
Murphy looking to throw on first down, and he has pressure this time by Jason Brown coming from the left side. He throws across the middle, intended for his tight end, but he throws underneath him, and it's incomplete.
Tyler Lynch, the 6'1", 235-pound senior for the Blackhawks, the intended receiver, their tight end. And the ball maybe underthrown just a bit. Lynch having to go down by his shoestrings to try to pick that up, not able to make the reception.
Double receivers left, single receiver to the right side. Murphy hands to Bushman. Bushman cuts it upfield at the 50. Finds some room now to the 40. Carries a tackler with him to the 35. And Fawcett hangs on to drag him down for the Cougars, but not before he gets to the Cougar 34-yard line. Good for another Lacey Weeks at Supreme Lending first down.
And again, just very active feet. Explosive running by Bushman, and frankly, not some very good tackling by the Cougars. A lot of arm tackling. Guys in position to make the tackle, just not able to wrap up. And as a result, as you say, Williamsfield continuing to make another drive here in the second quarter.
And a timeout on the field. We'll keep it here with 6:06 left to play in the second. Williamsfield a 10-0 lead, and this Williamsfield crowd, pretty big one for, as far as Valley crowds, Punt. We come to a lot of these games down here where we see almost no attendance at these high school football games, but this is a community that is really rallying around this team, and rightly so. It's a team that could do some big things this year.
Absolutely. Well, it's certainly one of those schools here in this East Valley, you know, one of the newer schools out here, but definitely building a football tradition. You know, they were in the playoffs last year, went all the way to the semis, ultimately losing to Queen Creek, kind of a cross-city rival. Queen Creek going to the finals and losing to the champion. But this Williamsfield High School definitely building a football program that is gaining a lot of attention of folks here in the state.
Sideline report coming up here in just a second as we see a fresh set of downs here for Williamsfield. Handed off tackle, rather sweeping right side around one. Page spins out of another tackle, now fights his way across the 25. Jason Brown in on the stop for the Cougars, but Page with some fancy footwork to get near Mountain Comfort Heating and Cooling first down, and they say it'll be second down and inches. Let's go downstairs and check in with Brandon Todd. Brandon?
Hey, Camden, just to touch on what you were saying about how the Sholo Cougars are looking a little winded, and you're absolutely right. In that huddle, or in that last time out, there was a lot of hands on the hips, a lot of people chugging water. Well, actually, they have Gatorade over here on the sidelines. But thankfully, it's not the heat that's getting to them, but you know, the Blackhawks are just so active on the offensive end that their defense, it takes 3, 4, 5 guys just to take down one guy.
Thanks, Brandon. Second down and about a half a yard. They throw, and it's intercepted at the 8. Means up the near sideline, 20, knocked down near the 30-yard line, and a late hit out of bounds as Means gets thrown into the crowd. Garrett Means with the interception, and that'll stop the Blackhawk drive.
Outstanding coverage by Garrett Means. Actually, I think a little bit poor pass by Weston Murphy. The quarterback threw under the receiver, but still outstanding defense by Means. Gets the pick, and there is a penalty flag thrown on the sideline. Maybe a little bit of frustration on the part of Murphy because he tackles Means out of bounds when Means is out of bounds. So that will be a penalty against Williamsfield here. Little momentum boost maybe for the Cougars.
5:09 left to play, so an extra 15, as you mentioned, tacked on. Ball spotted at the Cougar 45 after the extra yardage. And Caleb Farr in the gun. Single back in the backfield, flanking him to his right is Fawcett. Fake to him, fire right, it's knocked down. Big hand came up that time. Defensive end for the Falcons, number 13, Tim Polanco, the senior linebacker, 6 foot, 212-pounder, puts a paw up and knocks it down. Incomplete pass, 2nd and 10 coming up for the Cougars. Means wide to the right side of the set. Quentin Clark wide left. Another receiver on the far side, can't see his number. Far in the gun, slot right, rolls right on 2nd and 10. Looking deep, fires left side, and it's incomplete. No! Picked off at the 45. It was tipped up in the air, and no, they say it's an interception. Blackhawks have it at the Cougar 45-yard line, and that was just an unfortunate play that time for the Cougars.
Well, the Sholo receiver going up had the ball in his hands, maybe knocked loose by the defender, but his knee coming up kicks it up in the air, allowing Garrett Rode, the outside linebacker for Williamsfield, to gather it up and get the turnover. So an unfortunate break for Sholo here with just under 5 minutes left in the second quarter.
10-0, Blackhawks lead. Get the football right back on an interception. And that wasn't Farr's fault. That wasn't Means' fault. That was just purely good defense by the Blackhawks. 1st and 10, hands second man through. The I-back, Bushman, hit at the line of scrimmage. Fights his way forward after contact. Gets to the midfield stripe. They mark him back at the Blackhawk 49. Jamie Webb. Webb on the tackle, Bushman on the carry. 2nd down and 6. From the Blackhawk 49. Single receiver is Owens here to the near side. I tandem in the backfield behind Murphy. Hand to Bushman. Bushman driving his feet forward. Has a 1st down and more into Cougar territory. Knocked down at the 41.
Well, Sholo just having difficulty so far with Bushman. They're just running him right up the middle, right up off the center or the guards. Straightforward blocking, and once he's able to get past that line of scrimmage, he's just giving this Cougar defense fits.
Oh, this is just smash mouth football.
Absolutely.
Send 2 men up the hole. That's 12 carries for 94 yards tonight for Braden Bushman. Single receiver here to the near side. Murphy under center with a receiver to the far side as well. They hand it off. Sweeping left is Mason. Mason gets to the corner, cuts it up, hit and driven backwards. After he gets a couple yards across the 40 out to the 38, Jason Brown for the Sholo Cougars doing an outstanding job to wrap him up and push him backwards.
Jace Brewer also coming up from his safety position on that play to guarantee the tackle. But again, good running by the Williamsfield Blackhawks, just continuing to pound the ground. And, you know, that's got to be taxing on these Cougars. They've been on, like I said earlier, this defensive team has been on the field most of this first half.
3.5 minutes left to play in the quarter. In the half, 10-0 Williamsfield, 2nd down and 8. Ball at the Cougar 38. And a procedure call against Williamsfield. I'll check it. No, they call timeout. They get the timeout in before the delay of game. We'll step away. This is Sholo Ford's presentation of high school.
That's low. That's low. Look, he's watching.
Do you know a young hero? Someone under 18 who is helping others in your community or around the world.
We need young heroes now more than ever.
The Barron Prize for Young Heroes recognizes 25 young people who are making a difference.
Dream big. Everyone can make a difference.
If you know a young hero, nominate them today. Go to barronprize.org. That's barronprize.org.
Call it 2nd and 8. After the timeout, man in motion is Mason. He cuts back off tackle right side. Big hole to the 30, 25. Knocked down inside the 20 at the 18. Penalty marker thrown back at the Cougar, or rather the Cougar 39-yard line. But a potential Lacey Weeks at Supreme Lending 1st down, but now we get the holding call here.
They are going to call holding against the Blackhawks here. You know, one of those defensive linemen for Sholo able to penetrate that time. And apparently that was the call with one of the linemen for Williamsfield pulling on a shirt or something.
7 penalties for 60 yards tonight for the Blackhawks. Not one of the better nights for them execution-wise, but they lead here 10-0, despite their failures in the penalty department. 2 left, 2 right. Murphy handed off to Bushman. Big hole. Has yardage to the 40, angled out rather at the 32-yard line. He picks up almost all of that and more. He goes 18 yards on the carry, and he'll bring up 3rd and 2.
Well, that time Williamsfield going to a draw play, showing pass early, but then drawing up the middle of Bushman. Good blocking up front. Just a giant hole in between the defensive end and nose guard for Sholo. And Bushman, as we've seen all night, takes full advantage of that space. A very active runner and gets a big gain here for the Blackhawks.
3rd down and 2. Ball spotted to the Cougar 32-yard line. Mason on the carry, and he'll be tackled down around the legs that time by Jamie Webb. The 6'2", 185-pound sophomore hung on for the ride. And it'll be close to a Mountain Comfort Heating and Cooling first down. Actually, I'm not sure why they haven't moved the chains yet.
Yeah,
we got 2 flags thrown, Camden.
Okay,
let's go downstairs and check in with Brandon Todd. Brandon?
Well, I'm sorry about that. I was just letting you know they're not moving the chains because there was some extracurricular activity on the Blackhawks. Again, there you see it, personal foul on the Blackhawks. It was Willie Wyatt almost got pushed to the ground by one of those big old linemen over there on the Blackhawks team.
All right, thanks, Brandon. And that's 2 first downs negated on this drive now by penalties. And so the Blackhawk coaching staff can be happy with that. We see Steve Campbell out there on the field having some words with the official, but I think he needs to have some words maybe with his players here. With 2:49 left to play before half, it's the Sholo Cougars trailing 10-0. The Blackhawks seem to have every cylinder firing here with exception to silly penalties.
Yeah, and the other thing, Camden, they really haven't been forced to try passing much. You know, their ground game has been so effective. They just really haven't had to pass much.
At the 42-yard line, a 1st down and 10 now for the Blackhawks. Handed off to Mason, and Mason hit at the line of scrimmage. Jamie Webb knocks him down. Nice play that time for the Cougars after a gain of 1. It'll bring up 2nd down and 9.
Exceptional play by Webb, able to rip through that block up front and get right to the runner. Not too long right after he gets the handoff, Webb is wrapping him up. So, you know, good defensive front play that time by the Sholo Cougars. We'll see if they can keep the pressure on here defensively.
Page and Leighton wide to the left side of the set. And Murphy looking to throw, has all day long, fires across the middle, tip picked off by Corey. Corey at the 30, 35, angled near the 40-yard line, runs up the far sideline, and he will be knocked out of bounds at the Blackhawk 48. How about that?
Well, a good defensive response that time by the Cougars. We couldn't see who the linebacker was, but a dropping linebacker for the Sholo Cougars able to get his hands up, tip the ball, and as you say, Curry wasting no time, reading that tip, comes up quickly, grabs it, and not only getting the interception, but actually getting a few yards afterwards. So again, another opportunity here for Sholo to put some points on the board before we hit halftime.
2nd interception of the night, and a 1:45 left to play in this quarter. The Cougars with a long field, they actually spot him back at the 46-yard line.
Oh.
Far to throw, overthrows Clark, tipped, he almost tipped it into his hands. Oh, brother, what a great chance. And the Sholo Cougars wanted a penalty on that. Let's go downstairs and check in with Brandon Todd. Brandon?
That might be, for the first game of the season, that might be one of the biggest no calls I've ever seen, Camden. The ball was tipped, and as he was going after it, the Blackhawks almost ripped Clark's helmet off. And so, yeah, absolutely, the Cougar side over here is begging for a face mask, and it should have been called.
Farr tries a pass here on the near flat, and it's incomplete on a little out route to Willie Wyatt. Wyatt can't go up in the air and get it as Farr overthrows him. So a 3rd down and 10 now.
Well, as you say, Camden, he did overthrow that time, but I thought on that previous play he may have thrown it a little bit over, but you know, got to credit Clark's athleticism just to be able to get his hand on that. But these last 2 passes by Farr maybe just a little high.
Fawcett is out of the backfield, motions out of the backfield. Farr's going to be dumped for a sack. Alex Bell gets him, and a huge loss on 3rd and 10 with 1:27 left to play. And I don't know why the clock's not running here. We don't have a penalty, right? And now the official stops the clock. Timeout called by Williamsfield. So they want some more time on the clock here, assuming they're going to get this possession back. It is a 4th down, and it'll be 17 to go from the Cougar 47 after this timeout. We'll keep it here with 1:27 left here in the second quarter. But what looked like a promising opportunity for the Cougars now with those quick passing plays and incomplete passes, they're leaving plenty of time on the clock for the Blackhawks here.
Absolutely, and again, that's why they do call timeout, 4th and long. But not only that, Sholo on that last play losing quite a bit of yardage. So, you know, depending on what Sholo decides to do here, Williamsfield could have another opportunity to make a run for the end zone. That last play by Farr, you know, he had a little bit of time on that rollout, bought him some time. He just couldn't find any open receivers. You got to credit that Blackhawk defense for shutting down all of his receivers on that side of the field. So Sholo taking the snap here on 4th down. We'll see what they do.
Jace Brewer near side. Farr going to be hit as he tries to punt it. Ball is going to roll, and that's a live ball. Now they pick it up. Page to the 40, angled out at the 42. And it'll be a short field here as Brewer chased the return man that time, Page. The Cougars have an interesting punt set on 4th down. They set Caleb Farr in the gun just 5 or 6 yards from the center, just like he's in a regular offensive play, and they have him punt directly from there. That time, the Blackhawks rush got to him and got a hand on the football.
Well, and that's the downside of a shallow set on a play like that. It doesn't give Farr a lot of room to get that punt off, and that time Williamsfield defensive line able to get a hand up and partially block that punt.
We've got a scoring update for you from Sarita High School. We'll get to that in a moment here. With 1:18, a 10 point lead for the Blackhawks, and they find Rhett Layton. Murphy does on an out route here to the near side. It is caught at the 44 in Cougar territory now at the Cougar 44-yard line. In Sarita, with 22 seconds left in the half, it is
Sarita 16, Blue Ridge 0.
So Sarita up over the Yellow Jackets, and Sarita another one of those tough opponents that these teams have scheduled early on. More on that in a moment as Bushman carries this time for the Blackhawks. Has some yardage up the gut this time to the 40. We'll see now. The Blackhawks haven't thrown much. We'll see what kind of passing game they have. They didn't throw a lot last season either. And Murphy from the gun stands at his 45. Ball to the 40-yard line. 2nd down and 6. Murphy is going to fire left side, and it's caught, but it's out of bounds. Incomplete to Layton. Layton had a 1st down there at the 32-yard line, but he steps out of bounds before he can get a foot inbounds. Leaped to the air to grab it and didn't come down inbounds, I should say.
Well, they don't get the gain that time on the pass, but still a very accurate pass by Murphy, who's shown us a pretty good arm. You know, that's a timing route to the out there, and he's able to zip it out there. Unfortunately for Williamsfield, as you say, just a little too high and drifting out of bounds, but Murphy definitely has a gun.
3rd and 6. Murphy to throw, throws across the middle, almost picked off. Linebacker dropping back in coverage that time was, I think, Terrence Bridges.
68, yes, Terrence Bridges playing linebacker, middle linebacker for Sholo, dropping back in his coverage and reading really well, cutting in front of the receiver, had his hands on the ball, just not able to pull it in.
I think he was a little surprised that the quarterback threw it to him. On 4th down and 6, Williamsfield looking to go for it here. The incomplete pass stops the clock with 43 seconds. Cougars have plenty of time if they can get the ball back here. Murphy in trouble, flushed right, going to tuck it. He's hit at the 32-yard, I'll call it the 37. He'll be shy of a first down. Willie Wyatt in on the stop along with
Nikamoto coming up from his corner position. Gets the hit in on Murphy, who's scrambling on that play. But Murphy, a strong runner, making both of those defenders fall backwards, but not able to get the first down, so Sholo will take over on downs here with just 36 seconds left.
Plenty of time for them to put points up if they can put together a drive. Quentin Clark wide right with Means. They send here to the near side, a wide receiver, and they hand it off straight ahead, and it's Fawcett. Looks like the Cougars not interested in going for a touchdown here, maybe just want to burn some clock, as Fawcett lowers his shoulder and fights his way across the 40 to the 41, and a penalty marker is thrown and a sideline warning is assessed to the Blackhawks. And so with 31 seconds left on the clock, it'll bring up second down and call it 5 for the Cougars. Far to throw, fires far side towards Clark, and he is impeded to the ball, and no flag is thrown.
Yeah, there was a lot of contact. Clark trying to cut inside of the DB, the cornerback for Williamsfield, who was on him. Clark kind of doing a rip move to try to cut inside to get to that pass. A lot of contact, but no flag.
Let's check in with Brandon Todd. Brandon?
I'm just as shocked as the Cougars bench on the no calls here. I don't think they have the uncatchable rule anymore in football, but yeah, definitely pass interference there.
Third down and 5. Far to throw again, deep down the center, and it is incomplete, and Means was the intended receiver down the hash marks on the far side.
And you can see Means talking to the sideline, and Coach Reisdorf is giving that sideline referee an earful right now on the contact with these receivers. Really upset that they're not able to get through their routes with all the contact that's occurring. And it's, we're talking 10 yards down the field away from the line of scrimmage where all of this contact's occurring.
Fourth down, Cougars going to go for it with 18 seconds left, or appear to be going for it. Far in the gun. Nope, he's going to punt it, and he gets it away. Nice wobbly spiral. Return man picks it up at the 28 to the 30, 35. Angled out of bounds near the 40-yard line. Devin Scanlon on the return for the Blackhawks. And just 7 seconds left. We'll see if the Blackhawks are going to attempt to put it up in the air again. The passing game has been suspect here by the Blackhawks. They've thrown a couple of interceptions, almost 3 tonight. But they'll definitely need to go to the air if they're going to make up this 60-yard field here to put any more points up before halftime. 7.6 seconds remaining in the second quarter. Blackhawks lead 10-0. They go with and
the Cougars, of course, dropping deep into like a deep cover 5.
They've got 5 men back deep, and a deep fly ball down the left side towards Owens, and it's almost picked off by the Cougars at the 15.
Damian Sharp that time on that coverage, playing over the receiver. I can't see the number from here, but the ball goes right through Damian Sharp's hands.
0.7 of a second left on the clock. You know, what happened in the good old days when there was only seconds? Now there's tenths of a second.
Yeah. Precision, Camden.
There you go. 0.7 of a second, and a 2nd and 10 from the 40, the Blackhawk 40. Murphy in the gun. 2 receivers to the left, 1 to the right. Single back in the backfield, flanking him to the left. They hand to him. It's Bushman, and Bushman going to have a couple of yards out to the 44-yard line, and that will end the half. As the Sholo Cougars will go to the locker room nursing a 10-point deficit. Not the way they wanted to start this game out, but they are certainly in striking distance, and with a few adjustments could see a much better second half. But the coaching staff for the Cougars is steel on the field and asking for an explanation. And I'm not sure. I think it's Reisdorf down there working the referee.
And they're walking step for step down the field. I think he's just looking for an explanation of why why flags are not being thrown on the contact that the Show Low Cougars receivers have been incurring in these last few possessions. And I think he has a legitimate case. A lot of contact we've been seeing out there. Maybe it's just a different way of playing football down here in the Valley. I don't know, but Reisdorf is clearly upset.
Yeah, let's check in with Brandon Todd as Reisdorf and the official continue to go at it as they continue to try to walk off the field. Brandon? Well, we've lost Brandon's mic. Perhaps no batteries in that microphone. Don't know if he replaced those at the beginning of the broadcast or not, but there are. I believe we've lost his microphone as Reisdorf.
Yeah, I was just watching. He's following them to the restrooms almost, but now he's going to break away and go join his team as we count down the 15-minute halftime here.
Wow, what a first half of action. We'll be back to recap it for you in our Sunrise Park Resort halftime show, brought to you by the Sunrise Park Resort. Great things happening up at Sunrise this year. Don't forget the fall promotion coming up in October, Junior Pass promotion, where your kid age 12 and under can ski for free all season long. We'll tell you more about it coming up. You can check out the details at sunriseskipark.com. That's sunriseskipark.com. We'll be back with that coming up next. This is Show Low Ford's.
My friend Alex was diagnosed with cancer. So I put on a concert with tons of other kids so they could help raise money and lift his spirits.
It's a very good feeling to volunteer.
Kids can really make a difference.
Helping other people in my community.
To do something bigger than myself.
Start at a young age and keep promoting the spirit of volunteerism as you go throughout your life.
Young students make a big difference when they volunteer. Encourage them to learn more about the Prudential Spirit of Community Awards. Visit spirit.prudential.com.
I was feeling so alone.
I was going through a really difficult time.
I didn't want to bother anyone.
I didn't think they'd understand.
It was tough at first, but I did it.
I'm glad I asked for help.
I asked my teacher.
I asked my dad.
You can do this.
Whatever it is, ask for help.
If you're thinking about suicide or need support, call the Trevor Lifeline. Trained counselors are there to help 24/7.
Do you know a young hero? Someone under 18 who is helping others in your community or around the world.
We need young heroes now more than ever, and the Barron Prize motivates young people to do something positive to help the world.
The Barron Prize for Young Heroes recognizes 25 young people who are making a difference. Past winners include young people who have raised money in many different ways, promoted many good causes, found solutions to problems in their community, invented improvements, created gardens or other new spaces. The list goes on.
Every child can do something positive to help the world a little bit, and maybe even a large bit. That's what the Barron Prize is all about.
Dream big. Everyone can make a difference.
If you know a young hero, nominate them today. Go to barronprize.org. That's barronprize.org.
Cool party. What do you guys want to drink? Can I have a head-on collision with a concussion twist?
Make mine a fatal accident with no survivors.
And you?
A designated driver, please. You know, just a bottle of water.
Awesome.
You're a lifesaver.
You know, I talk a lot about Ford trucks, and why wouldn't I? I mean, best-selling truck for 36 years running, because Ford's always thinking ahead to next year and not resting on last year. But now I'm going to talk about something different. Where you want to buy your new Ford truck. You just gotta drive by Show Low Ford to see how many trucks they have. Or go online to showlowford.com. And you know Guy Hatch is going to get you a great deal. Because he promises you he is not going to be undersold.
It's 10-0 Williamsfield at intermission, and punt a interesting first half. And I think the best description tonight of what's happened in this first half is that the Cougars just got banged in the mouth. I mean, they got punched in the mouth right from the beginning of this game. Williamsfield, a big physical, athletic team that certainly deserves their top 3 ranking this season in Division III.
Clearly, it's a very, very athletic team. Their line is big. They're not ginormous. I mean, Sholo, actually, I'm impressed of how well, just looking down the line of scrimmage, Sholo, does line up fairly well. Sholo, again, having one of the bigger lines they've had in a long time. But the battle up front is so far being won on the offensive side by Williamsfield. And we've seen Braden Bushman, number 3 for the Blackhawks, just light it up so far, doing an outstanding job. I'm not sure how many yards he's at, but he's probably pushing 100 here in the first half. Okay, 124 yards. You have to credit him as well. His line's getting holes for him, but Bushman's running style, just a really aggressive, active runner, and he's making it tough for those defenders for Sholo to bring him down even once he gets past the line of scrimmage. But we talked about maybe one of the keys in tonight's game being that line of scrimmage play, and I got to say, Williamsfield so far, at least on the offensive side, is taking full advantage of the size they have and opening up some great holes for the running game. They really haven't had to do much passing so far, has Williamsfield. Their run game has really been pushing them along. I think what's really been killing them, clearly, are the penalties. With just a 10-point game here in the half, you have to wonder what it would look like had they not had all those penalties.
8 penalties, 75 yards in the first half against Williamsfield, and a couple of picks as well. And that certainly has played a part in the lack of scoring for Williamsfield, because they've had it down in the Cougar territory on several occasions. Let's go downstairs and check in with Brandon Todd. He's got a special guest here at halftime. Brandon?
Yeah, thanks, Camden. I'm here with Roger Farr, the father of Sholo senior quarterback Caleb Farr. And I want to ask you, so you spent last year, your son is a junior with limited playing time, now starting quarterback. This is his first game as a starter on varsity. As a father, how's it feel to see your son out there?
He's doing a good job. He's working hard through the summer, and the coaches are really getting the whole team ready to go. So
I got to ask you, we touched on it a little bit in the pregame about the injury, the freak injury that happened during track season where he was hit in the face with a discus, and you're smiling, which surprises me because I saw him shortly after it happened, and it looked, tell me, did it look worse than it was? I mean, how scary was it? What exactly happened, and are there any lasting repercussions of it?
There probably are. We don't know yet, but he seems to be doing okay. Kind of worried about taking a hit, but he's a tough kid, so he wants to play ball, so he's out here.
How many stitches did he get?
He had 95.
95 stitches. Wow. And I don't know, if did it knock him out with the concussion? I mean, how was he? Did he have an overnight stay in the hospital?
Well, he had some concussion issues, and he had a lot of stitches and a lot of recovery time, so it broke him up pretty good. So, but he's actually still in the healing process. So,
give me your thoughts on the team this year.
The coaches are doing a good job, and they're working them hard, and they're fit and ready to go. And yeah, it's 10-0, but these boys are playing Williamsfield really hard, and it shows the character of the boys. So.
Roger, I appreciate your time, and tell Caleb that we said the best of luck to him this year.
Very well.
Camden, back to you.
All right, thanks, Brandon. That's some interesting comments. We appreciate Roger taking the time with us here at intermission. We'll recap the first half for you here real quick. Just 2 scores on the night so far, and both of them from Williamsfield. Early in the first quarter, first possession for Williamsfield as they drive the length of the field, and they go, I think it was about a 75-yard drive, capped off by a 15-yard touchdown run by Aaron Mason. The PAT was good, and they drew first blood with 4:39 remaining in the first quarter. They led it 7-0. Late in the first quarter. They got on the scoreboard again, this time turned away from the touchdown. A penalty and some good defense helped out the Cougars in that situation. They were down inside the 10 for part of that drive, and after a couple of penalties and some tackles for some losses, it turned into, instead of a touchdown, turned into a 47-yard field goal for the Blackhawks, and that's how they lead it here at intermission, 10-0. We'll step away and look inside the numbers to tell the true story here at the break. When we return, this is Sholo Ford's presentation of high school football on iTALK 106.7 and worldwide on iTalk1067.com.
Do you know a young hero? Someone under 18 who is helping others in your community or around the world.
We need young heroes now more than ever, and the Barron Prize motivates young people to do something positive to help the world.
The Barron Prize for Young Heroes recognizes 25 young people who are making a difference. Past winners include young people who have raised money in many different ways, promoted many good causes, found solutions to problems in their community, invented improvements, created gardens or other new spaces. The list goes on.
Every child can do something positive to help the world a little bit, and maybe even a large bit. That's what the Barron Prize is all about.
Dream big. Everyone can make a difference.
If you know a young hero, nominate them today. Go to barronprize.org. That's barronprize.org.
And there's the kick. It's a low line drive kick. He's up across the 20. He's got the 25 hammered down at the 30.
Are you a sports fan and business owner? You don't want to pass this up. White Mountain Youth Productions brings you local high school sports produced by high school students.
Go deep, and it's caught. Unbelievable.
Your tax-deductible sponsorship keeps us up and running and gets you noticed.
He'll gallop into the end zone.
Call 928-532-4160.
And that is a touchdown for Sholo.
I'm one unlucky guy. The chance of being involved in a robbery is 1 in 757. The chances of being struck by lightning, 1 in 750,000.
Please fasten your seatbelts for unexpected turbulence.
The chances of being a victim in an airline crash, 1 in 29 million. Hey, could I get some peanuts? The chances of being involved in a car crash are far greater than lightning strikes and plane crashes. And if you are texting while driving, your risk of crash increases 23 times. Now, I may be an unlucky guy, but I don't have to be part of that statistic, and neither do you. Drive responsibly.
Cool party. What do you guys want to drink? Can I have a head-on collision with a concussion twist?
Make mine a fatal accident with no survivors.
And you?
A designated driver, please. You know, just a bottle of water.
Awesome.
You're a lifesaver.
You know, I talk a lot about Ford trucks.
I was feeling so alone.
I was going through a really difficult time.
I didn't want to bother anyone.
I didn't think they'd understand.
It was tough at first, but I did it.
I'm glad I asked for help.
I asked my teacher.
I asked my dad.
You can do this.
Whatever it is, ask for help.
If you're thinking about suicide or need support, call the Trevor Lifeline. Trained counselors are there to help 24/7.
I was feeling so alone.
10-0 lead for the Williamsfield Blackhawks here tonight against the Show Low Cougars. Welcome back to our Sunrise Park Resort halftime show, brought to you by the Sunrise Park Resort. Sunrise reminding you to check out their great summer activities with some downhill mountain biking, hiking, camping, fishing, and some other new events added this year. We invite you to check it out at sunriseskipark.com. That's sunriseskipark.com. And Punt, let's take a look inside the numbers that have the true story of that first half.
Okay, Cam. Well, we'll start with the host Williamsfield Blackhawks really dominating that first half. Weston Murphy, their starting quarterback, passing 13 times in that first half, completing 6 for a total of 94 yards. Although, as you had mentioned earlier, throwing 2 interceptions, and a lot of that due to some excellent pass coverage by the Cougars. On the rushing side, though, definitely dominating. We talked about Braden Bushman, the primary runner for the senior running back for the Blackhawks. 15 carries for 124 yards in that first half. Aaron Mason right behind him with 28 yards on 4 carries, and then Josh Page with 24 yards on 3 carries. All combined, all rushers, 27 carries for 181s, and when you add in the 94 yards passing, that's a total of 275 yards of total offense for the Williamsfield Blackhawks. Sholo, meanwhile, not doing a very good job at all with the rushing game. I think a total of, I don't know how many rushes, maybe 8 rushes, 7 or 8 rushes for minus 15 yards combined, everyone, including the quarterback, Caleb Farr, who has been sacked a couple of times for big negative yardage, totaling 17 yards. So, again, Sholo just not able to get that running game going, largely because of the dominance on that front line by the Blackhawks so far in this game. Got to credit Caleb Farr, though, going 6 for 14 for 94 yards. Only 1 interception, and that was that kicked ball. Not a bad pass by Farr, just one of those freak plays that ended up with a pick for Williamsfield. So total yardage for Sholo, 79 yards compared to Williamsfield's total of 275. You can definitely tell what the trend was in that first half. And again, the big ding against Williamsfield in that first half, 8 penalties for 75 yards, whereas Sholo, I think they were penalty-free in that first half, so good job by them.
I'll tell you what, the Cougars got to feel kind of fortunate, only trailing 10-0 here at the break. We'll step away, back with the second half when we return. This is Sholo Ford's presentation of high school football on iTALK 106.7 and worldwide on iTalk1067.com.
There's the kick. It's a low line drive kick. He's up across the 20. He's got the 25 hammered down at the 30.
Are you a sports fan and business owner? You don't want to pass this up. White Mountain Youth Productions brings you local high school sports produced by high school students.
Go deep, and it's caught. Unbelievable.
Your tax-deductible sponsorship keeps us up and running and gets you noticed.
He'll gallop into the end zone.
Call 928-532-4160.
And that is a touchdown for Sholo.
I've got a job to do today.
I've got a job to do today.
Have a good first day at work, Mom.
Your donations to Goodwill fund job training programs right in your community.
Feels good to start fresh, right?
Sure does.
And like that, you're a job creator.
High School. Camden Smith, Mike Stein with Punt Cooley and Brandon Todd down on the field. And a lot of thanks to our entire crew. This game being broadcast live online at iTalk1067.com. Thanks to the students of Sholo High School. Technical director tonight, Zach Lambert. Graphics, Sky Perez. Audio, Nicole Jones. Camera 1, Kristen Fowler. Camera 2, Zach Perkins. And Camera 3, Trent Kleiman. Bringing you the live video coverage of tonight's broadcast, again available at iTALK. That's iTalk1067.com. iTalk1067.com. your source for high school football, sports, Diamondbacks, Suns, Sun Devils, and more. iTalk1067.com. Cougars set to kick it away. Garrett Means tees it up on the right hash at the Cougar 40-yard line. Kenny Owens back to receive. And it goes to the up back at the 15 to the 20. He gets to the 25 on the far sideline. He'll be pushed backwards, knocked down at the 23. They'll give him forward progress to the 25. Jace Brewer on the tackle for the Cougars. Cougars with some questions to be answered here in the second half. And you mentioned, Punt, just how impressed you were the way that they responded to being punched in the face, but they haven't given up here tonight, and they've certainly shown some signs of brightness.
Well, the other thing they have going against them, I feel, is they're playing guys on both sides of the field, offense and defense, and it's against a hurry-up offense, whereas Williamsfield, for the most part, has pretty much a dedicated offense and a dedicated defense, and that's got to be taxing for these Cougars over 4 periods of play.
And to Bushman, he's got close to a first down carry here out to the 35. And they'll spot it, nose of the football at the 35-yard line, close to a Lacey Weeks at Supreme Lending first down, and they give it to him.
And again, the first play, they go run with Bushman, and a quick kind of repeat on that first play by the Blackhawks, gaining a quick 10 yards, adding to Bushman's total, a big total so far in his rushing yards for this game.
Bushman, a 5'9", 190-pound senior. And we get another penalty called here against the Blackhawks, and you hear a sigh of
groans from the fans.
Yeah, the fans not happy with that one at all. Not that they've been happy with any of them, but it's starting to get old. Braden Bushman, in his junior year last season, 14 carries, 138 yards, averaged 9.8 yards per carry, 27 per game, with a touchdown on the season as well. This time it's a give to Page, and he'll be dropped, I believe, for a loss here. Jason Brown and Willie Wyatt combine on the tackle and stuff him for a loss of 1.
Well, the left side of that defensive front for the Cougars, as you say, they try a counter there, but Willie Wyatt and Jason Brown, both big kids, closing off quickly and creating a loss for the Blackhawks on that play.
Correction, no gain on the play. Third down and 15. Or excuse me, 2nd and 15. They give to Bushman, and Bushman carries across the 30 to the 31, knocked down by Logan Barton, and the Cougars starting to stiffen on that defense a little bit here. So showing some signs of the Cougar defense that we're used to.
Well, they stay in that 3-man front with the 3-4 defense, but as you mentioned, Camden, maybe some adjustments at halftime that the coaches are making. Doing a good job on these last couple of plays of shutting down that run game.
And that was, I'm pretty sure Murphy pulled out early. Let's check in with Brandon Todd. Brandon?
Yeah, isn't that the second time that's happened? We've had a false start on the quarterback this game. It's not something that you see very often, so obviously there's some communication issues going on in the huddle. But what was weird is the wideout was going too, but normally the wideout doesn't go till the ball is snapped. So there was all kinds of weird confusion going on in that play, Camden.
Yeah, and I think the first time you credited him with just going a little too hard on a hard count punt,
right.
But that time definitely his miscommunication. He fires left, caught by Layton, back at the original line of scrimmage, just across the original line of scrimmage. It's good for a gain of about 9. And it brings up 4th down and 8.
Well, a good pass pressure on that play by Willie Wyatt, able to get into the backfield, but not in time, allowing Murphy to get that pass off. But they just did not get the yardage they needed to get the first down.
It is Ruiz.
Blake Ruiz.
Blake Ruiz, who hit that 47-yard field goal in the first half, set to punt it away. He hits one, a low end-over-ender. Quentin Clark stands at the Cougar 25. It's not going to come anywhere near him as it bounces at the 38-yard line and rolls to the 44. And picked up at the 32, it appears.
So a good defensive stand on that first possession by the Show Low Cougar defense. Able to get, I think, the first punt out of Williams Field so far this game. So a good sign to start this second half. We'll see what the offense can do here on their first possession in the second half.
Ball spotted at the Cougar 33. 1st and 10. Far in the gun. Hand it to Fawcett. Fawcett has a hole to the 40. He stiffs arm a tackler and gets out to the 44. Great run by Garrett Fawcett.
And exceptional blocking up front by that Show Low line, opening a big hole right up the gut, allowing Fawcett to find room. He's able to run through the linebackers, ultimately leaving the tackle to the safeties to get that first down.
I'm sorry, that's Jerem Fawcett. And picks up a Lacey Weeks at Supreme Lending first down. Incomplete pass intended for Garrett Means here from Farr. And he was well covered on the play. Farr may have put it the only place he could have.
Yeah, that's tight coverage by that defense of Williams Field. Garrett rode the inside linebacker right on. Had a really tiny window, did Farr. Able to do what he could with it, but just not able to get that pass through given the good defense.
2 receivers here to the near side. Farr looks near side, fires, caught by Means. Means slips a tackle, gets across midfield, and how about that move by Garrett Means? Makes the reception, makes a man miss. The second man drags him down, but not before he gets into William Field territory at the William Field 49, a gain of 6 on first down, or rather second down. Wide receiver near side, 2 receivers out to the right side. That's Means and Curry wide right. Far in the gun, single back flanking him to his right. He throws right, wow. Incomplete, and it was way over the head of his intended receiver, Means.
Yeah, Means with a curl route right at the first down marker. But as you said, Camden, Farr missing badly on that pass, way high. I'm not sure if he saw maybe a defender coming in, but didn't even get close to Means on that pass.
Well, and he's fortunate because he does throw it over the defender's head as well, or it would have been picked off. On 4th down, Cougars going to go for it, and it looked like Quentin Clark was open on the near side, but it's incomplete as Farr misses him on the quick little out pattern.
Well, that was a quick pass, a very quick pass by Farr. His footwork was not great, but if you saw that spiral, the way it left his hand, it was pointed down, and that's another. You just didn't get a good release on that pass, did Farr. But as you said, Clark in the open just couldn't get the pass to him.
I'm not sure he had a handle on the football before he threw it. He literally caught it, cocked, and fired, and I don't think he got the laces if he even had the football balanced in his hand correctly. So the Blackhawks will take it. A turnover on downs from their 48-yard line. Give to Bushman. Bushman going to lower his head and fight his way into the Cougars secondary. He'll be drugged down at the Cougar 44-yard line.
Terrence Bridges, the middle linebacker for Show Low, bringing him down, but again, not until after he gains a good 8 yards.
Bridges with limited playing time last season, paying some dividends tonight here. We've called his name on a couple of occasions already. Opening paragraph of the third quarter, Blackhawks lead 10-0. Hand to Bushman. Bushman straight ahead, has a Mountain Comfort heating and cooling first down as he's drugged down inside the 33, or rather call it the 37. Ball right at the 37-yard line.
And again, Williams Field against that 3-man front from Show Low, just quickly hitting that gap between the nose guard and the defensive end. And, Bushman is so quick off the ball. He gets to the hole so quickly. He's just able to exploit that space that Show Low's giving him so far. And, again, we just seen it all night. It just keeps adding to that rushing total.
Murphy under center, takes a snap on 1st and 10. Give to Bushman. He high steps his way across the 35, knocked down at the 32.
And again, off tackle on the left side, able to find that seam between the nose guard and defensive end against the Sholo Cougar team. You know, the Cougars had a couple of guys in position, but they're just reaching out with arm tackles. You're definitely not going to bring down Bushman with an arm tackle.
You know, Bushman, one of those guys, I mean, he wasn't the lead rusher last year. Page had 55 carries, but here tonight he has been the workhorse. He only had 14 carries last season, but 20 already tonight. They pass here on the near side. It is caught by Michael Good, and Good has a Mountain Comfort Heating and Cooling first down for the Blackhawks at the 24-yard line.
So on that first possession by Williamsfield, we saw the Cougars respond with a good, tough defense. Now on this second possession, Blackhawks able to mount a decent drive here, getting into scoring position against the Sholo Cougars.
Hand it to Page. Page looking, dips inside and tries to get around the outside. Fawcett and Webb and a host of Cougar tacklers take him down on the right or left edge, I should say. Penalty marker thrown at the 30, call it the 26-yard line. Let's check in with Brandon Todd. Brandon?
Yeah, we're going to get a holding on the offense here, right? There it is. It was the offensive, I don't know, is it the tackle? You can correct me if I'm wrong, excuse me. But as soon as it happened, all the coaches over here were yelling holding, and the referee already had the flag out. What's funny, they're yelling holding, and as soon as they saw the flag out, they started clapping for him. So maybe trying to encourage some more flags out of the guy.
You know, interestingly enough, though, the Cougars, despite the fact that Williamsfield held on that, they played it defensively to a T.
Yeah, absolutely. Contain the edge on the outside. And these Williamsfield running backs are quick. So a great defensive response by the Cougars on that play.
I sat behind Murphy, and a first down and 20 from their 39, rather from the Cougar 39. Give to Bushman, and the Cougars stack him up, but Bushman keeps those legs driving. I got to tell you, for a kid that's only 5'9", 190 pounds, he has some leg drive.
Absolutely. He's clearly a very strong kid. You know, he's carrying not only his own line, but the Sholo line on that play. Just a big mass of bodies, and he's still able to punch through and just keep pushing to gain those extra yards.
Wide receiver left, wide receiver right. Tight end lines up on the right side for Williamsfield on 2nd and 21. Hand to Bushman, has a hole, and he lowers his shoulder. Fawcett tackles him at the 25, but he gets forward to the 23.
And again, right up the middle, right off the right side, in that gap between the nose guard and the defensive end against the Sholo defense, finding a big space there, and punches off another big gain.
It has been all Williamsfield so far tonight. They lead 10-0. Now a 3rd down and 10, and an incomplete pass intended for Page on the far side. It hit him in the wrong spot, right in the hands. 5:04 left to play, 3rd quarter. And on comes the field goal unit. And we get a chance to see one of the best kickers in the state of Arizona, Blake Ruiz. Ball will be spotted at the Sholo Cougar 30, and the Falcons, or rather the Blackhawks, having trouble with personnel here. They finally appear to have the right personnel on. Leighton to hold, Ruiz with a 40-yard kick, and it is wide right, no good. That may affect his chances at All-State honors. 40-yard attempt, no good, and the Cougars will take over.
Well, you know, compared to that earlier field goal, the 47-yarder, he really clubbed that one. He had plenty of room to go, maybe even out beyond 50 yards, certainly. But that one looked like maybe he got a little low on the ball, just not a well-kicked ball at all.
5 minutes left to play in the second. Excuse me, in the 3rd quarter, I should say. 10-0. Blackhawks with the lead over the Cougars. Quentin Clark wide near side, 2 receivers to the left, or rather to the right side. Far side of the field. Far to throw. intended for Means, incomplete. Batted away. Means went up for it, battled with it, but his defender right on his back, batting that one away for an incomplete pass.
Well, a well-placed pass by far, but maybe just a little too much air underneath it, you know, giving that defender time to come up and close in on Means and get the hand in. Had he had a little bit more spice on that pass, I think he would have found Means for a good gain, but you can't fault the placement of the pass. Well placed by Farr.
In the gun. Farr looking to throw again. Steps up, gets away from the rush, lowers his shoulder at the 25, spins, has his helmet knocked off, and falls at the 28-yard line.
Well, you got to credit Farr. He's taking on those tacklers. He's going to have to leave the game, of course, because he loses his helmet.
I don't like that rule.
Well, it's the rule. He's fine. There's nothing wrong with him. He just, because of that collision, ends up losing his helmet, and it's mandatory in high school that you have to leave. So it looks like they'll bring in Rhett Reisdorf as the backup on this play, in for Farr.
Reisdorf lines up in the gun and hands it off. They go quick little handoff to Wyatt. Wyatt stuffed in the backfield, and that right there, if Farr's able to stay in, I think they run a different play on third and short.
Yeah. Well, an outstanding line surge up the middle from that defensive front by Williamsfield, led by the number 35 senior, 6'2", 275, Caden Dickey. He's been active all night and getting good penetration against that Sholo offensive line.
And now a penalty on the Cougars here. I believe that's their first penalty of the night, a procedure call. I don't think they got completely set that time on fourth down. Now in this situation, they're still with that shallow set. Is there, why not just drop him back? You know, everybody knows he's going to punt, right?
Well, I don't know.
4th and 10.
Maybe they feel just the potential threat of a pass or something is enough to
keep teams off balance.
Yeah, you know, who knows. But clearly they're so far deep in their own end of the field, you would think they're going to kick it for sure.
Well, from the Cougar 20, Farr gets off a kick that goes out of bounds, shy of midfield. It'll actually go out. They mark it out at the 39, it appears. 39 or 40, I can't see it from our vantage. But
39, it looks like, yep.
We're not very high up here, so we have a poor vantage tonight of the field, but so not much of a punt for the Cougars, and great field position here for Williamsfield. They lead at 10-0, and a gut chuck time for Sholo with 3 minutes and 28 seconds remaining in the third. Can they turn them away again? Murphy under center, eye tandem in the backfield. Hand to Page, second man through right side. Slips a tackle, slips another one at the 30, to the 25, still on his feet. No, they knock him down at the 24-yard line. I was following the blockers upfield and failed to see Page, who got finally brought down after Lacey Weeks at Supreme Lending. First down at the Cougar 24.
Well, Josh Page, another load for this Williamsfield backfield. The senior, 5'10", 214 pounds. Just a big kid, and blowing through tackles from the Cougars on that last play.
Page actually had the lion's share of the carries last season for underclassmen. They give it to Page, and Page fighting his way to the 20-yard line. Fawcett drags him down after a gain of 3. Call it a gain of 4 to the 20. 2nd and 6 coming up from the Cougar 20-yard line.
Jerem Fawcett definitely outsized that time, but you got to credit him. A great open field tackle out on that flat by Fawcett.
Page, the junior, 55 carries last season for 415 yards and 7 touchdowns. Out of the underclassmen last year, he led the team in rushing yards. Hand it to Bushman. Bushman has a hole. 10-5 touchdown. Williamsfield. 20 yards on second down. They're able to score.
Well, again, Bushman is so quick hitting those holes. And then once he gets to the line of scrimmage, just explosive going through and really untouched until he probably had gained 9 or 10 yards, and the secondary of Show Low just not able to catch up to him before he hits the end zone.
On to try the point after is Ruiz, and he punches it well through for the point after try, and it is with 2:18 remaining here in the third quarter. It is Williamsfield 17, Show Low 0. We'll step away. This is Show Low Ford's presentation of high school football.
I'm one unlucky guy. The chance of being involved in a robbery is 1 in 757. The chances of being struck by lightning. 1 in 750,000.
Please fasten your seatbelts for unexpected turbulence.
The chances of being a victim in an airline crash? 1 in 29 million. Hey, could I get some peanuts?
The chances of being involved in a car crash are far greater than lightning strikes and plane crashes. And if you are texting while driving...
The Show Low Cougars trail now 17-0 with 2:18 left in the third. Clark going to carry from the return it from the 5 after a shallow end-over-end kick this time. Ruiz, a rare short kick, gives Quentin Clark a chance at a return, and he brings it out to the 25-yard line.
Well, you know, Show Low so far, the running game still stumbling quite a bit, not able to get consistently productive yards from their rushing game. And, you know, our statistician Mike Hallwell mentioning, you know, that they probably need to find a way to find Clark. He seems to be able to produce most of their offense so far for the Cougars. A fumble in the backfield on the run, but Willie Wyatt able to gather it up for the Cougars, but in the process of doing so, losing 5 yards, it looks like, on the play.
Williamsfield with 3 possessions in the third quarter. A punt, a 40-yard attempt at a field goal, no good, and then a touchdown here in the third to tack on 7 more. They lead at 17-0. Deep down the far side, incomplete pass for Show Low.
They're trying to go to Quentin Clark that time, but Williamsfield double teaming him, staying close, the corner staying with him from the time he left the line of scrimmage, and the safety drifting over on that coverage.
Yellow Jackets struggling against Sarita tonight. Two minutes left here in the third, and Farr looking to throw, goes right, evades the rush, steps up and steps out of bounds at the 22.
They are struggling, and it's in the third quarter. Sarita up on Blue Ridge 23-0, and it sounds like the information we're getting from the field there that offensively Blue Ridge struggling, throwing 4 interceptions so far in the game.
Jake Belshie, the new head coach, in a really a tough position as a head coach following Coach Paul Morrow. It's like a no-win situation.
Yeah, absolutely.
End over ender as Farr sets Page back. Page with some trouble fielding it back at the 35. He puts a knee down at the 34. Quentin Clark there to make sure he doesn't go anywhere, but they have him down back at the 34.
Well, a good play by Quentin Clark, not knowing, of course, that the runner's knee would drop, fighting through a block to shoestring the runner regardless. But again, another Show Low drive, just not able to get going. So they turned the ball back over to the Williamsfield Blackhawks here.
Minute 46 left to play, third quarter, 17-0, Williamsfield. And this is really gut check time for Show Low.
It is, by all means. You know, they're certainly still in this. 17-0 is not by any means an unsurmountable lead, but Cholo's in a position where they got to find some offensive momentum and clearly stop the running game for Williamsfield.
Murphy to throw, has Owens near side. Catch made at the 39, rolls out of bounds at the 41. Owens picks up 8 on first down, 2nd and 2 coming up. Clock stops with the reception made, or as he steps out of bounds, I should say. Don't forget, tonight's broadcast is made available for you to watch online at iTalk1067.com. That's iTALK1067.com. Man in motion back behind the formation. Give to Mason, and Mason lowers his shoulder at the 40 and fights forward to the 42. Couple of tacklers there for the Cougars.
Well, that's that motion we saw in the first half where the back drops deep behind the quarterback, and then the quarterback hands the ball off to the running back as he heads with a sprint back up towards the line of scrimmage. In that first half, they were getting yardage, but it seems that Sholo's been able to make some adjustments. That time, they just shut it down right at the line of scrimmage. Good job by the Cougars.
Angel Moreno in on that stop for Sholo. Murphy hands it off to Aaron Mason, and Mason hit at the line of scrimmage, has maybe a yard as a Sholo Cougar player that time.
Terrence Bridges coming up from his linebacker position, closing him out.
Lost his helmet on the play.
So your favorite play of the football game, whenever you lose your helmet, you got to go to the sideline.
I don't understand it. Why?
I think it's just part of all of this concussion stuff that's, you know, hypersensitive right now these days.
I get if the player pulls his helmet off, like that's, but that's a penalty anyway. So.
No, I mean, if there's a collision that causes a helmet to fall off,
I got you.
I think they're just taking the precaution, thinking that if the collision was severe enough to cause the helmet to fall off, it would just be a mandatory sideline stay for one play at least.
Let's go downstairs and check in with Brandon Todd. Brandon?
I just want to chime in on the conversation you guys are having in Camden. I'm going to side with you here. I think it's if someone's bell gets rung enough so bad that they're worried about a concussion with the helmet popping off, you would be able to tell by the way they stand up, a little bit of a stagger. But on a simple play like where you happen to get a hand underneath and the helmet pops off, you know, in Camden, you said it. If Caleb Farr's helmet didn't come off on that one play where they had to put in Riceorf, they call a totally different play. That could be a game changer in the game. So I'm going to side with you, Camden, here.
Thanks, Brandon.
You're welcome.
I didn't realize we were picking sides. So
4th and inches, and Williamsfield goes for it. They're able to get big yardage here. Mason all the way to the Cougar 36-yard line, but a penalty marker thrown. This may be coming back.
Yeah,
that was
it's
at
in
the
the
line
backfield
of
Williamsfield, so it looks like it will be coming back. Holding against the Blackhawks.
And punt, to your credit, I don't think you're really defending the
yeah, I'm just trying to engage in some conversation here.
Yeah,
so.
I got you.
I'm not pretending to be an attorney or anything. Holy smokes.
Well,
that's the last time I'll offer an opinion on it.
Punt, you also have to remember who signs my paycheck.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah. Holding call here. That's another penalty against Williamsfield. 12 penalties tonight for 100 yards for the team that's up 17-0. You know, Williamsfield, they clean up their game. They're going to be a force to be reckoned with in Division III football. Release to punt, stands at his 20. Low snap, handles it well. End over ender that bounces at the 38. Takes a Williamsfield bounce and rolls down at the 28-yard line, and we got a couple of players at midfield locking horns. And 8 seconds left to play in the third. Williamsfield up 17-0. Sholo with the football at their 27.
So it looks like the Cougars will finish the series here in this third quarter, bringing Rhett Reisdorf off the bench to play quarterback in for Farr. Not sure if that's related to an injury or if they're just wanting to get him some time.
We'll get a report on that maybe from Brandon Todd. And Reisdorf mishandles the snap and falls on it back at the 21. So a loss on the play. 22. They'll spot it at the 22, and that will end the fourth quarter of action. We'll step away. Back with the fourth and final when we return. It's Williamsfield up 17-0.
Cool party.
Yeah,
What do you guys want to drink? Can I have a head-on collision with a concussion twist?
You got it. Make mine a fatal accident with no survivors.
And you? A designated driver, please. You know, just a bottle of water.
Awesome.
You're a lifesaver.
Here comes the music. You're hot.
What do you guys want to drink? Can I have a head-on collision with a concussion twist?
Make mine a fatal accident with no survivors.
And you? A designated driver, please. You know, just a bottle of water.
And a new quarterback in for them. Rhett Reisdorf will stand at his 17-yard line. And will attempt to general this Cougar offense. As a sophomore, misses the snap. Fawcett able to fall on it, and then he gets hammered at the 15. I'm not sure that the contact was necessary.
I think a little bit of nerves on the part of Reisdorf coming in. He just has not been able to handle. Both snaps have been right to him. Maybe a little to the side, but still snaps that he should be clearly handling and not able to do so. They're going right through his hands on these last two plays, and they're losing ground here.
At the 11 now, Reisdorf stands on a third down and long, looking to throw, rolls left side, fires, and it's intercepted. Fires an interception, and it's caught at the 30, call it the 23-yard line.
Aaron Mason, the cornerback, or maybe an outside linebacker that time, drifting over, basically reading the eyes of Reisdorf, and jumps right underneath to pick that cleanly. It looked like the intended receiver, maybe Garrett Means, out on the flat there, but again, a good job by Mason just stepping in, reading the eyes, and stepping in and cleanly picking that ball.
We'll check in with Brandon Todd here in just a moment. Opening paragraph of the fourth, and Williamsfield with a big opportunity at the Cougar 22. Hand to Bushman. Bushman straight ahead, and he's got yardage out to the 15. Finally brought down by Jamie Webb there. Let's check in with Brandon Todd. Brandon?
Well, when Reisdorf first checked in, Camden, you guys mentioned if it might be for an injury, and it's absolutely not. I asked him, I said, "Are you hurt?" And he said, "Absolutely not." He kind of shrugged his shoulders. So I don't know if it's, just wanting to get the backup guy some reps, but if I can chime in here, I don't quite understand it. You have your senior quarterback, first game of the year. Doesn't send a good message to him.
All right, Brandon, wide receiver left, single receiver right. Murphy throws, caught at the 10, spins, gets to the 5, knocked out of bounds inside the 5-yard line. Ball spotted near the 4. And Rhett Layton on the reception for Williamsfield.
Yeah, and a dig route by Layton out in the flat there, and a good timing pattern by Murphy to get him the ball. And we were talking about Farr earlier. Mike Caldwell, our statistician, bringing up the point that, he went 1 for 10. His streak in his last 11 passes, 1 for 11. So that could certainly be a contributing factor as well for the substitution at quarterback.
Two receivers right, single receiver to the left side is Owen. Single back in the backfield on 1st and goal. They hand to Bushman. Bushman bangs his way, goes 5 yards for the touchdown, and Williamsfield is rolling. That one a nail in the coffin that the Cougars couldn't afford to have if they wanted to climb back into this contest. 10:34 remaining.
Yeah, that's tough now with now in the fourth quarter down 23, and Bushman now eclipsing the 200-yard mark, 210 yards total after that touchdown run there.
Ruiz tacks on the point after try, and with 10:34 remaining, fourth quarter, it's Williamsfield 24, Show Low nothing. We'll step away. This is Show Low Ford's presentation of high school football on iTALK 106.7.
I talk a lot about Ford trucks, and why wouldn't I? I mean, best-selling truck for 36 years running, because Ford's always thinking ahead to next year and not resting on last year. But now I'm going to talk about something different. Where you want to buy your new Ford truck. You just gotta drive by Show Low Ford to see how many trucks they have. Or go online to showlowford.com. And you know Guy Hatch is going to get you a great deal. Because he promises you he is not going to be undersold by anyone, anywhere. And if you know Guy, you know if he says it, he means it.
Good caught the punt and started to break his run. So usually that's indicative of some sort of holding or potentially a block in the back, right? Block in the back. So we'll see what they call here. But Williamsfield moving back, so clearly it's a penalty that will go against the Blackhawks.
Call assessed against Williamsfield, and yet another penalty. You know, they're over 100 yards in penalties tonight. 115 on 13 penalties, but the amount of yardage in penalties, it pales in comparison to the number of yards that have been called back on them.
Exactly.
42-yard line of the Williamsfield Blackhawks is where they'll start this drive after they erase a touchdown off the board with 9:15 remaining. 2 receivers right, 2 to the left. Murphy under center. Bushman in the backfield behind him. Steps back to throw. 5-step drop. Flush goes right. Steps up at the 40. Fires, and it is caught at the 47. And Tyler Lynch on the reception for Williamsfield. Gets out to the 41-yard line before he's brought down. Good for a Lacey Weeks at Supreme Mortgage. First down. Lacey Weeks, your mortgage consultant for life.
Tyler Lynch, the senior tight end, 6'1", 235. And number 24 for the Cougars, Jerem Fawcett, getting out there to make the tackle. He's 6 foot, 170 pounder, so a tough tackle, but you got to credit from staying tough and bringing down the bigger Lynch on that play.
At the Cougar 41, a fresh set of downs for Williamsfield, and they hand it off right tackle, crossing the 40-yard line. A new ball carrier in for Williamsfield. That's Jesse Garcia, the junior running back. Garcia, a 5'9", 177-pounder. Picks up 3 on first down. 2nd and 7 coming up. Ball at the Cougar 37. And boy, they're really taking some time here.
Coach is trying to get the play in. They have 2 guys on the sideline. Does Williamsfield signaling to the quarterback?
And the head coach turns and faces.
And he's talking to the coach to give the play. Kind of an odd system, but
interesting. It's 2nd down and 8. Murphy tried to get off a counter here, and Page turns the other way. Now he turns and comes this direction. Cuts it upfield at the 40, 35-30. Has some room to the 20, 10-5, touchdown, 38 yards. And it is another score for Williamsfield. Check the field, no flags. And Page puts points up on the board for the Blackhawks.
Well, you know, that looked like a play where Sholo had him caught behind the line of scrimmage, but poor tackling, arm tackling again in the backfield. Probably 4 or 5 Sholo defenders around Page as he was breaking off to the right, but once he cut back to the left, he just left most of the Cougars in his dust and able to find big space downfield and just kind of cruises in for the touchdown.
Josh Page, the workhorse last season, or one of the workhorses, has more carries than any other underclassman coming into this season with 55 carries last season. The senior, 5'10", 214-pounder with a 38-yard touchdown run. Ruiz tacks on the PAT. And with 7:34 left to play, 4th quarter, Williamsfield up over Sholo 31-0. We'll step away. This is Sholo Ford's presentation of high school.
Pretty much a good day for me would be people leaving their hands off of me. I'm always called names. Everywhere that I go, there's always someone calling me names, calling me gay. I've been choked, thrown up against a wall, punched. Nobody's ever tried to help me.
You're hot.
Williamsfield up 31-0, and Ruiz punches this one into the end zone again. Garrett Means tries to hang on to it outside the end zone, but it goes through for a touchback, an 80-yard field again for Sholo. They trail 31-0, and we've got another scoring update from Sarita High School.
Okay, Camden, well, right after Blue Ridge puts their first points on the board to bring the score to 23-8, Sarita comes back with a 10-yard TD run. with 9:08 left to bring the score now to 30-8.
You know, the Yellow Jackets.
Blue Ridge fumbles on the 14, and Saurita responds with a scoring drive.
Cougars here try to go up the gut on first down and get a yard to the 21. Fawcett on the carry. You know, the Cougars with not a lot of size this season, especially when you compare them to a Division III school from down here in the valley like Williamsfield.
Yeah.
Two receivers to the left, single receiver to the right. And Farr looking to throw right side, and he somehow that just came off wrong.
He's just not getting a grip. You know, they have that quick pass, and I think you hit it last time, Camden. He's taking the snap and turning, and in one clean motion throwing a pass, and he's just, and his footwork isn't there either. And it's just, his passes are fluttering. He's got a really bad spiral on it. He's just not getting the passes there.
3rd down and 8. From the Cougar 22, fires one, and it is caught on the far side. And it's good for a Mountain Comfort Heating and Cooling first down. Curry on the reception at the Cougar 36-yard line.
The 6'3", 175 senior, Stephen Curry, his first reception, I think, of the game. But that time a good pass by Farr. Of course, he's rolling out that time with some time and able to deliver a very accurate pass.
And straight ahead, big hole at the 40 and a collision at the 45 as Fawcett bowls his way across the 45 to the 46. Close to a Lacey Weeks at Supreme Lending. First down.
In the process, Fawcett just crunching that free safety for Williamsfield. Vicente Ortega comes up limping after that hit.
Far down the field, intended for Curry, and we get a penalty marker thrown at the 34, and Williamsfield is going to be nailed for a pass interference, and the Williamsfield fans don't like it.
Well, I think Curry, you know, the pass thrown a little bit behind, he had to kind of twist around to try to reach out and grab it. But a lot of contact between the receiver and defensive back that time, and they do call the flag. And, you know, I'm sure this is the stuff that Reisdorf was getting there in the ear of the officials about at halftime. And maybe it paid dividends.
Yeah,
Who knows?
yeah. There's no question about it. I think for sure they're starting to look a little closer at that, and that one, not nearly as blatant as the others.
Not even close.
Two receivers right, single receiver left. Play action, fire left to Clark, catch and carry. He's got it up the far side. He's going to be knocked down at the 31.
Well, Clark catching that pass, and he has to jump to get it, and as soon as his feet hit the ground, he just explodes forward with power and gets a good gain after the catch.
Chains forward. From the Cougar 24, a fresh set of downs for Sholo. 6 minutes left to play fourth. They trail 31-0. Hand to Fawcett off tackle left side. Fights his way across the 20. Gets inside the 20-yard line. And this is a much welcome drive here for the Cougars.
Well, as the Cougars now starting to get some offensive momentum, we see Williamsfield bring their starting defensive line back out onto the field and pull their second team off.
And Farr, and that quick pass again doesn't quite get in the air under it. It bounces to Clark, who was open on the far side, and it's incomplete.
Well, it's a timing route with Farr. As soon as he gets the ball, he's turning to throw, and the receiver's doing a dig route. But Farr's just not getting a grip at all on that football and not able to get the pass there.
3rd down and 6 from the Cougar 20. Farr throws right side, has a man, Means, but he overthrows him. Means couldn't quite get it. Not enough air under that one, and Means had 2 steps on his defender.
Well, Means, as you said, reaches out and actually gets his hand on that pass just a little bit ahead of him. But Farr had the right idea, found the open receiver, just couldn't get the ball to him.
And as you mentioned, those timing routes, what he's struggling with, he's had a pretty good ball anytime he's got time to hold the football.
Absolutely.
4th down and 6. They're going to go for it. They're going reverse. Clark coming right side, slips and falls, and he was trying to cut back. He had one man to beat on the edge, and he was looking to try to fake him out or cut underneath him, and he fell to the turf.
Well, you know, Williamsfield pre-game, I don't know if we mentioned it, they did a ribbon cutting because they have a brand new turf this year, and it is a turf field. I went down there before the game just to kind of check it out, and it is a little slippery, you know. I mean, I'm wearing tennis shoes. I don't have cleats like these guys, but it's got a little sheen to it, and I'm just wondering if that might, because I've seen some of these Williamsfield players slip a little too.
It's
so
that
might be part of it.
That rubbery artificial surface.
Right.
$2.5 million field voted in by the voters up here. With bonds, they were able to put this new field in for Williamsfield. And the Blackhawks doing now will get a chance to do what they do best, which is run the football. Jesse Garcia, or excuse me, no, it's 45 on the carry.
No, it's Kai Lelo, a junior, number 45, carrying the ball, 5'6", 142-pound junior. So it looks like they're going to go into their bench here, does Williamsfield, to finish off the game. But again, a short run, but a nice active run by Lelo.
Clock approaching the 4.5-minute mark of the fourth. Penalty marker thrown. And Good is in at quarterback for Williamsfield. He carries across the 25. Leans the ball forward at the 26. And they'll mark him after a gain of 1, it looks like, but a penalty marker thrown. 4.5, 4:38 left in the game with the Cougars trailing 31-0. And you know, at the beginning of the game, we talked about predictions. We knew that Williamsfield was going to be tough, but I don't think anybody predicted that Shola would struggle this much against them.
Yeah, you know, I really expected, honestly, that Shola would find a way to put some points on the board. And we saw some offensive spurts from the Cougars. I think the big theme with this game tonight is they just really struggled with their running game. And you have to credit that Williamsfield defense. Big guys up front. And Sholo, I think, has a good-sized line. I mean, when you look at them, they're good-sized kids. They just really had a hard time finding a way to consistently open up holes to get the running game going.
2 receivers to the right, 2 to the left. Good looking to throw. He has his man here on the near side. It's caught by Caleb Schneff.
Uh-oh.
I wonder if that's Schneff Farms relative down here in the Gilbert area. He's a senior wide receiver, 5'11", 170-pounder. Makes the reception and picks up.
John Larson for the Cougars in on that tackle, came up limping pretty heavily. Looked like he may have been injured, but now he's able to trot off the field, so he's in good shape.
He got 9 on that reception, brings up 3rd and 7 after the penalty. Ball at the Cougar 27-yard line, and ball loose. Oh, he got it back. Or do the Cougars have it? Cougars say they have it. Officials yet to signal. Now they say Cougar football.
You can see at the exchange between the quarterback and the halfback, you can see the ball pop up, and number 50, Jamie Webb, able to move in quickly and just gather it up. Or maybe 60. Okay, number 60, Peter Escalante, just right there, right in front of the play, able to get his arms around it and pull it down to get the recovery.
3:24 left to play, fourth quarter, and the Cougars will attempt to put points up. They trail 31-0. Williamsfield student body getting up to their feet. And this is this is really a big support for this team down here. We mentioned it early. Farr going to keep, has running room across the 20, has a Lacey Weeks at Supreme Lending first down, and
Kind of a counter boot with Farr running against the flow, finds a big seam on that left side. And as you said, gets the Lacey Weeks Supreme Lending first down for the Cougars.
At the 18, and Farr tries to throw a little pass out to the flat on the left side. It's incomplete, intended for Means. Means just released to the outside. He was open, but he overthrows him.
Yep, threw it high.
3:11, clock stopped with the incomplete pass, and a 2nd and 10 coming up here for the Cougars.
Should be looking for Clark here in the end zone if they go pass.
Throws, and it's caught by Clark, and also a Williamsfield defender had his hands on it as well. And as Clark and the defender are hit, the ball is spurred loose, and it's incomplete.
Yeah, both the defender and Clark getting to the ball pretty much at the same time, and just turned into a wrestling match with no one being able to come down with the reception.
Incomplete pass, 3rd and 10 with just over 3 to play in the contest, and he underthrows his intended receiver this time. Farr does. That one intended.
Jace Brewer, the intended receiver, but as you say, Camden, again, he's either been high or low, and that time again that downward pointing spiral, just not able to get the pass off. Brewer having to go down by his shoelaces and just can't pick it up.
Well, what was the bright spot for the Cougars in the first half has almost all but been erased. It's like a little swinging gate formation with.
They got 4 out on the right side here.
They're not all. Are they all wide receivers? They are. Handed off left side. Clark gonna go and hit hard at the goal line, but he's in for the score. 18 yards on the carry for Quentin Clark. And the Cougars finally up on the board with 2:50 remaining in the contest.
Well, they line up 4 wide right, does Sholo, and sending Clark in motion on that speed sweep motion, and a handoff from Farr, and Clark doing an outstanding job of just turning upfield. He never really even got touched till he was right at the goal line. So that's the first time we saw that play tonight, and great execution by the Cougars to get their first score.
On to try the point after try is Garrett Means, and he puts it through. So with 2:49, well, that should be 2:50, right? They turn the clock on for the untimed down for some reason. But with 2:49 left to play, I guess, here in the fourth quarter, it is the Cougars finally on the board, trailing 31-7. We'll step away. This is Sholo Ford's presentation of high school football on iTALK 106.7 and worldwide at iTalk1067.com.
That's low and blue. Look, he's blushing.
And you're hot.
Welcome back to Williamsfield High School. 31-7 is our score with 2:49 remaining. And did I miss something? Because there's 2:50 left on the clock when they made the score, and the scorekeeper ticked off a second on the untimed down. How does that happen?
I don't know.
On the untimed down, how does that? I don't understand how that works.
It's conspiracy.
It is. 1 second gone off the clock.
Yes.
Means sets up for what appears to be an onside kick from the Cougar 40. Williamsfield stacking just 5 on the line, and he hits the top of it, gets a good bounce, and it's loose. Cougars maybe have it. Williamsfield signaling that they have it. And it is Williamsfield football after a pretty decent attempt at an onside. You know, sometimes they kick that onside too close to the sideline on the far side and it just goes out of bounds. But that kick in the middle of the field, and it didn't quite get the tall hop they wanted, but it did bounce off the chest of one of the heavies up front.
Well, at Williamsfield, actually, I think had what what a lot of teams refer to as their hands team. There was actually Josh Page is the one who attempted to cover the ball at the front line there. He's a running back, and
it just looks like a heavy.
Yeah, Braden Bushman was also up there, but as you said, Page couldn't get to it. Cholo had a shot at it, but just not able to clean up the mess, and Williamsfield will probably run out the clock here on this possession.
I formation behind Good. They hand it to the I-back that time, Kalo Leo, or Kai Leo. And Kai Leo, the 5'6" junior, has nowhere to go and a loss on the play.
Well, Quentin Clark coming all the way up from his safety position, reads run quickly, and he's in the backfield to take down the runner. So outstanding defensive work by Clark that time on that play.
Second down and 15 from the Williamsfield 41. Handed off right side, sweeping right side with not much to go. I think that was Quinn Gardner. Oh no, Garcia rather.
And again, Clark coming up from that safety position, hitting him at the line. There was another player out there, maybe number 32, Willie Wyatt as well. But Williamsfield obviously running at least a second team here, getting some players in with only less than 2 minutes left here in the game.
Clock approaching the 1.5 minute mark of the fourth. Third down and 12 from the Williamsfield 44. Good gonna keep, fakes it, and rolls left, turns it upfield, and gets to the 49 before he's pushed out of bounds by Damon Sharp. And a penalty marker thrown again.
Looked like a clip.
Second string.
The pursuit, the defensive pursuit by the Cougars. I didn't catch the number, maybe an outside linebacker, 47. Okay, John Larson had the pursuit, but lineman comes up and clips him in the back before Sharp pushes him out of bounds. You know, it's another thing. I'm sorry, Camden.
Second string offense has something in common with the first string offense.
Yeah. Penalties.
Yes. First half it was 8 penalties. Second half 8 penalties for Williamsfield.
Well, at least they're consistent.
Yeah,
there's some consistency there.
Well, they still got time.
Yeah. I'll tell you though, Good, that backup quarterback, we haven't seen him throw yet, but he's got good wheels.
Absolutely.
He can get outside.
He's a threat for sure. On 4th down and 7 from the Williamsfield 49. They'll get set to punt it away. Ruiz steps back at the 34. Now they get the right personnel in. Late to come on was Garrett Rode, the senior linebacker who comes in on the punt cover team. Clark back to receive for the Cougars. A low end over ender that's angled and bounces inside the 20. Clark lets it go, and it'll be picked up by the Blackhawks at the 12-yard line. Call it the 13, where the Cougars will have what will presumably be their last possession of the game with 1:13 left. And it's been a fun open to this season with some really big-time football down here in the Valley. The Cougars couldn't have picked a more difficult foe for a game one.
Well, this is, as we mentioned earlier, Williamsfield definitely a growing power here in the East Valley for Division III, ranked number 3 preseason in Division III. So the Cougars really don't have anything to be dropping their heads about. They're up against a formidable opponent for sure.
This is
their
a
first game.
Much better Williamsfield team than we saw in the first of the season last year.
Big, physical, very athletic. Their running backs are, and they have a bevy of them. You know, we saw Braden Bushman break away tonight and gain most of the yards, but Aaron Mason, number 4, number 6, Josh Page, all good running backs. So we can clearly see why a lot of folks feel like they're going to be a strong contender for the title this year.
Williamsfield gets a sack, and now Farr can't get another pass off as Williamsfield in the backfield again. And
looks like that'll be the last play. They're going to let the clock burn out here.
Fisher
maybe one more play.
Fisher will wait to set the clock set the play clock as the game clock goes in under 24 seconds, and the Cougars don't even have to run another play if they don't want to. Third down and 16 from the Cougar 8. Far from his end zone, throws down the middle of the field, and it's incomplete with 4 seconds. And now they have to punt it as the clock stops with 4.4 seconds left. And on fourth down.
Or take the snap and run around for 4 seconds. Either way. I think this would be an opportunity to get Brandon out on a reverse or something.
I think we ought to see if Brandon could handle a reverse at this stage in his life.
And they will run it.
They're going to run it up the middle. Fawcett carries. There's the horn, and Fawcett gets a few more yards to his total tonight and gets out to the 15-yard line. We'll see if we can't get an interview with Coach Reisdorf here in a moment, but let's step away. We'll be back to recap this game for you. Final score, Williamsfield 31, Show Low 7. This is Show Low Ford's presentation of high school football on iTALK 106.7 and worldwide on iTalk1067.com.
Do you know a young...
How long do you need?
Someone under 18
okay.
who is helping others in your community or around the world.
We need young heroes now more than ever.
The Barron Prize for Young Heroes recognizes 25 young people who are making a difference.
Dream big. Everyone can make a difference.
If you know a young hero, nominate them today. Go to barronprize.org. That's barronprize.org.
Okay.
My friend Alex was diagnosed with cancer, so I put on a concert with tons of other kids so they could help raise money and lift his spirits.
It's a very good feeling to volunteer.
Kids can really make a difference. Helping other people in my community.
To do something bigger than myself.
Rewarding.
Every story touches home.
Even if it's not your own cause, it becomes yours when you help people.
I organized a food drive so they could have a warm meal every day.
The people next door to us might have big struggles.
Change someone's life and make someone's day.
When I help out, I get this warm feeling in my heart.
If you have a giving heart, you need to give as much as possible.
Step out and help someone else and just help make the world a better place.
Seeing garbage in road ditches and in city parks motivated me to clean up trash.
If it's the right thing to do, then go ahead and do it.
You should always volunteer, whether it's big or small.
Start at a young age and keep promoting the spirit of volunteerism as you go throughout your life.
Young students make a big difference when they volunteer. Encourage them to learn more about the Prudential Spirit of Community Awards. Visit spirit.prudential.com.
1 minute.
My friend Alex was diagnosed with cancer, so I put on a concert with tons of other kids so they could help raise money and lift his spirits.
It's a very good feeling to volunteer.
Kids can really make a difference. Helping other people in my community.
To do something bigger than myself. Start at a young age and keep promoting the spirit of volunteerism as you go throughout your life.
30 seconds. 30 seconds. And then the bumper. Here comes the music. You're hot.
Welcome back to Williamsfield High School. The Show Low Cougars upset tonight 31-7 on a game that I think they've learned a lot here tonight. This is obviously going to pay dividends for their team down the road. It's a division above them, Division III. It's one of those games that you always, as a coach, think to yourself, should we play this game? This is obviously going to be a tough game for us. And it just so happens they catch Williamsfield on a year that they're probably going to be in the state championship game.
Absolutely. You know, definitely a big team, big physical team, and some really exceptional athletes on the Williamsfield side we saw tonight. You know, Sholo, you know, I think obviously they're coming in. They competed really well with this club last year in the season opener. I think losing 16-7 or something did Sholo, but clearly this is a different team. Williamsfield this year has a lot more maturity, and as you said, Cam, they've already been predicted to be one of the big three contenders for the state title in the Division III. But Sholo's definitely learned something, and I'm sure that's why Coach Reisdorf does schedule these tougher games early in the season, because he wants to get his players conditioned to some really tough opposition early. It sets them up well for the regular season.
You know, the Cougars down only 10-0 all the way through 2/3 of the second quarter, where finally with 2:18 left on the clock, Williamsfield in the second able to go up 17-0 on a 20-yard carry by Braden Bushman. It's very interesting to see what the Cougars did in that first half, because I'll tell you, it was really a lot of fun to watch them. They seriously got hit in the mouth in that first half, but they didn't fold. They came back and they fought, they clawed, they scrapped. Their ground game was not working at all, -15 rushing in the first half. They were able to put together some yardage, though, in the passing game and make up for some of that missing rushing game, and really had some opportunities there in the first half. I thought they were going to put points up in the first half. It just didn't happen for them.
Yeah, they just couldn't get their offensive game going, you know, in the running game in particular. Sholo's always been very skilled with their passing game, and they showed spurts tonight where they were able to make some completions, big completions for first downs. They just couldn't keep the momentum to get into the end zone. And, you know, the running game in particular, I'm sure that's something they'll talk about. But, again, they were up against a very tough defense. That defensive front for Williamsfield, very impressive, able to blow up gaps right along the line of scrimmage. And it was just a battle all night long for the Cougars. But, again, you know, when you talk about, you know, Sholo not laying down and being strong and coming back and fighting despite the score, I think that's, again, exactly why Coach Reisdorf likes to schedule these tough opponents early. It builds character for his football team.
You know, when we were looking at this on the season and looking at the Cougar season, they have the toughest schedule, I think, for their section, perhaps even for their entire division. You know, they are playing two of the top three teams in the state in a division above them in the first 4 games of the season.
Right. They play Queen Creek, I think, in their 3rd game. And Queen Creek and Williamsfield played each other in the semifinals, I believe, last year in Division III. Williamsfield only losing by 3 to Queen Creek, who ended up losing the state championship. So, yeah, clearly, I mean, how much more tougher? I guess you could go to Division I if you wanted to, or Division II. But
not only that, but they play a Tempe Prep team that is tops in their division. Granted, their division below the Cougars down in Division V, but Tempe Prep, a perennial playoff contender in Division V.
Yeah, so definitely Sholo with that schedule has got to be one of the toughest. And, you know, the only downside I could see to that, the risk you run, is that you could get some guys injured that might compromise you later in the season. But Coach Reisdorf obviously feeling like it's worth the trade-off. And he's got a good club. I mean, he's got a lot of players for a school the size of Sholo. He's got, I think, a good-sized line this year in particular. And he wants to test them. And he schedules these big games. I'm sure he has some ties here to the Valley, too, having come from this area to move up to Sholo. So, you know, I don't think he feels like he's putting his kids at risk by any means. He just wants to give them some tough competition, and they certainly got that tonight.
Our post-game comments are brought to you by Honda Resort and Casino, along with the Honda Outdoor Ski and Sports Store. Don't forget the best camping, fishing, hunting, and hiking gear you'll find at the Honda Outdoor Ski and Sports Store. And check out the Indian Pine Restaurant. We've got the Indian Pine Restaurant player of the game coming up. Let's go downstairs and check in with Brandon Todd. He's lined up an interview with Coach Reisdorf. Brandon?
Camden, I'm sitting here with head coach Reisdorf for the Charlotte Cougars. Coach, first of all, we're talking in the booth about how we commend you for scheduling these bigger school opponents early on in the season. It builds character in your team. Tell me, what are your takeaways from tonight's game?
We're going to learn a lot. Yeah, that was we physically got beat up inside the trenches today, and size is part of that. But technique is too. We got to get better, and we will.
I want to ask you, you have your senior quarterback, first varsity start. He's a senior. What are your thoughts on his performance tonight?
We got to get better, not just Caleb, but we've got to get better in every position. We do. If we're going to compete for a championship, we got to get better. And Caleb will improve. He'll get more confident. And, we missed some opportunities tonight, and that's going to happen, and so it'll just be interesting to see how he rebounds and what type of character he has.
Last question. At halftime, we noticed you had a very long, lengthy conversational walk with the referee. What was that about?
Yeah, I felt there was some pass interference, and I just wanted to verify his take on it and get his understanding because, I wasn't accusing him or anything, but my perception was it was a bad call, and so I just wanted to make sure we were on the same page.
Well, if it helps, Shanny, it was my perception as well, so I agree with you. Coach, we look forward to seeing you the rest of the season, and thanks for your time.
Appreciate it.
Camden, back to you.
All right, thanks, Brandon, and see if we can't get some players possibly here in this post game. But I'll tell you, what a terrific night for really the Cougars. I think that this is a game that they're going to take a lot from. They're young, they're small, they've got a lot to learn, but I think this was a good start for them.
Well, you could hear it in Coach Reisdorf. He's acknowledging there's some stuff they need to work on. He's not making any excuses. He's up against a very skilled, formidable team here. I felt he was very diplomatic about addressing the question on the pass interference. I mean, we weren't privy to the conversation, but you could tell he was pretty heated in his discussion. But I mean, that's good. I mean, he's got his guys' backs, and he's defending the way he wants his guys to execute their plays, and there's nothing wrong with that.
And here's what you like to see from a veteran coach like Reisdorf is he's able to bend the ear of the official for literally 2 minutes of that halftime. Yep. He walked from one end of the field all the way to the other without getting a penalty, without the official getting mad and taking off. He was able to, as you mentioned, be very diplomatic about it, but get his point across.
Yep, and I would argue we saw in that second half there was that one play where there was contact and you could go either way. And they did end up calling a penalty against Williamsfield on that pass by Sholo. But it wasn't anything compared to the collisions we were seeing in that first half that did set off Coach Reisdorf and initiate his conversation with the referee. So, you can argue, one, he's defending his players. He feels strongly about how his offense needs to work and the right way of making calls. But on the other hand, I would argue that he was successful and maybe, changing the officials' perceptions of what was going on out on the field.
All right, let's go downstairs and check in with Brandon Todd again. Brandon?
Yeah, thanks, Camden. I'm here with junior wide receiver Quentin Clark-Q. It's I don't feel the score reflects how hard, first of all, defensively you guys played. I believe your defense probably doubled the amount of time your offense was on the board or was on the field. Tell me, how hard is it playing both sides of the ball when you're on the defensive end for 3/4 of the game?
Just don't really know. It's hard because they've been put me at backer for the season. I wasn't really comfortable at the beginning of the season, but I think I'll catch on and get better at backer. But yeah, I think it'll be pretty good. So,
give me your thoughts overall on tonight's performance.
We didn't play to our best abilities. We need to step it up and come to practice and work next week. So,
what did Coach Reisdorf say to you guys at the end there?
We have this bye and we're going to recover and then come hit Tempe Prep pretty hard. So,
Q, I appreciate your time, buddy. Good luck the rest of the season.
Thank you.
Camden.
All right, thanks a lot, Brandon. This is the Honda Outdoor Ski and Sports Store post-game wrap-up show brought to you by the Honda Outdoor Ski and Sports Store and the Indian Pine Restaurant. Don't forget, best hiking, camping, hunting, fishing, and even ski and snowboarding gear. You'll find it at the Honda Outdoor Ski and Sports Store. east of south of Pine Top on Highway 260, right-hand side of the road just before you get to Honda. Time now for Indian Pine Restaurant Player of the Game, brought to you by the Indian Pine Restaurant, best pizza in town. You can dine in or call ahead and order out your order with the best in pizza. Go to the Indian Pine Restaurant at Honda.
Well, Camden, I'm just looking down the list here of all the Sholo players that we mentioned during this game, and there are so many of them, either primarily on the defensive side since the defense stayed out there so long. But, guys like Garrett Means in a lot of tackles. He also did a good job receiving a lot of passes today from Farr. Farr started out early in the game, with some good, crisp passing. He struggled a little bit later in the game, maybe lost some confidence given the pressure that he was up against. Jerem Fawcett was all over the field today on both sides of the field, doing an outstanding job. Jason Brown, Willie Wyatt, Jace Brewer. I mean, the list goes on and on. This Sholo football team is loaded with some really good athletes, and they all performed. Coach Reisdorf said, there's a lot of things to improve, but you got to tip your hat to the performance of a lot of these guys. They maybe not 100% on every play, but he's got some good athletes assembled on this team, and so many of them stepped up today. But I think clearly the guy we need to acknowledge for player of the game, Quentin Clark, 4 receptions for 81 yards, leading all the Sholo receivers, had a couple of carries for 15 yards, and he scores the lone touchdown on that reverse play. But defensively, in on 7 tackles at least, just doing an outstanding job for them. One of the better athletes, I think, just looking at raw talent on this Sholo club. But he stepped up big tonight, and I'd say we give him the player of the game.
Quentin Clark, congratulations. Our Indian Pine Restaurant Player of the Game, brought to you by the Indian Pine Restaurant. Available with the best pizza in Pine Top. You can find it at the Indian Pine Restaurant out at the Honda Resort and Casino. We want to say thanks to all of our sponsors. Special thanks to our in-studio producers tonight, Mickey McGavick and Ashley Fry. And back in the truck tonight, providing the sights and sounds of tonight's contest live on our online stream, and will be tape delayed on City 4 TV with games played back coming up this week. City 4 TV, check it out on Channel 56 or Channel 4 now. New digital channels 56 available to catch City 4 content. Coming up on Monday at 1:30, you can watch this game. Tape delayed Monday and Friday at 7 p.m. and Saturday at 1:30 on City 4 TV or cable Channel 56. Special thanks to the crew back in the truck. Technical Director Zach Lambert, graphics Sky Perez, audio Nicole Jones. The cameras tonight, Kristen Fowler, Zach Perkins, and Trent Kleiman. Special thanks to our White Mountain Youth Productions. You can become a sponsor of this content, or of these video streams, as well as the content on City 4 TV, and help raise the funds to keep these games continuing on our website. Be a sponsor of White Mountain Youth Sports on City 4 TV. 100% of the money is donated to the White Mountain Youth Productions, and it goes directly to the classes of Sholo Snowflake High School to receive the training and the need and the help that they do to do these broadcasts for us. And we say hats off to them as they do a terrific job year in and year out. We've had a great time to the start of this season with them. On site tonight, our statistician, Mike Caldwell, our executive producer, Ron Everingham, for Brandon Todd and Punt Cooley. I'm Camden Smith. Once again, the final score here tonight, 31-7. The Sholo Cougars upset tonight by the Williamsfield Blackhawks. We'll wrap it up and send it back to the studio. This will remind you, we come back next week with Game 2 of our 2014 campaign, where we'll have Mingus at Snowflake. Game time 7 p.m. Pregame, catch it at 6:45 right here on iTALK 106.7 and worldwide on iTalk1067.com. Until then, so long, everybody.
And you're clear. Nice job, guys.
All right, thank you, Mickey. Thank you, Ashley.